right, folks. We're just 2 minutes away from the show we've all been waiting for, The Lion's Den. You know it's about to be crazy, interesting, and downright hilarious tonight. If you've been here before, you already know why this is one of the few shows that keeps you glued to the screen the entire time. The host, Fearless. What can I say? The man's a legend. Handsome, well-built, and an intellectual powerhouse. Quick-witted doesn't even begin to describe him. This guy handles every topic like a pro and never misses a beat. And you can't forget Keenal from Black Man Travels. Deep thinker, always dropping knowledge, bringing those big conversations that really make you sit back and reflect. He's all about opening up your mind to new perspectives. Oh, and when Ronan steps in, it's a whole different vibe. The man brings balance, discipline, and humor all wrapped into one. He's the kind of guy that can crack you up 1 second and drop wisdom the next. This is Grown Folks Talk. No nonsense, no drama. Just real, respectful conversations. They get into the deep stuff, but they always respect everyone's viewpoint. You can trust The Lion's Den to bring real, unfiltered, adult conversations with that perfect mix of intellect and fun. You've got your popcorn ready, right? Because in just about a minute, this place is gonna light up. Get comfortable, hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and make sure you're locked in. Let's go. The Lion's Den is about to start.
All right, it's almost time. I've been waiting for this all week. Is it just me, or does time slow down when you're waiting for the Lion's Den to start?
Come on, let's go. I got things to say tonight. I'm ready to hop on the panel. You better have subscribed already. If you haven't hit that subscribe button and smash the like by now, what are you waiting for? You gotta support the Den, people.
Hit that notification bell too, unless you want to miss out and hear about it later.
This is the show you don't want to miss. Every week I'm here waiting. The energy, the conversations, is about to get real.
Tick tock, I swear this is the longest minute of my life.
Tick tock, tick tock. The panel tonight's gonna be fire. I can feel it. Who's joining tonight? Let's go. Hit that subscribe button already.
Yo, grab your popcorn, grab your drink. It's about to go down. You're not ready for what's coming. I got my snacks, my drink,
And I'm locked in.
Let's get this show started.
All right. Quiet down. The show's about to start. Everyone ready?
Silence. The Lion's Den is about to begin. Let's go.
Yo! What's going on, everybody?
Hey, Friday night.
Friday night. Everybody,
yeah,
you know, everybody's tipping a glass, but somebody, I know you ain't drinking no milk and cookies right now, bruh.
Milk and cookie. I got the pina colada in one
Is
hand
that a pina colada?
and the rum in another.
You over there double fisting. I just got a tall boy, so you know, only one's being good right now is Canal over there with his little juices and berries and shit.
Oh, the wife got a wine, so.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
He's actually drinking wine.
Wait, say it again.
He's actually drinking wine. That's his.
Oh, that's his Merlot. You back to the Merlot?
No, I'm not drinking.
Oh, come on, bruh.
Wait.
Glass of wine.
Hey, wine is good for the blood system.
Glass. I promise.
One glass of wine is good for your blood, bro.
No, that's not my glass. 3 months clean. 3 months clean.
Hmm.
No.
Don't believe you.
You want to say something?
Wow, Jordan. Hey, Adrian. Hey, Adrian. I want some of that cigar.
You know, I got the Dominican cigars too. I got a whole bunch of
Dominican
Dominican.
Mm.
What
These are some
brand?
flavored,
Dominicans.
What brand is that one?
but these are the flavored ones.
Which flavor is it?
This is
It
vanilla. I
has the
got
name of the brand.
Oh, what's the brand? What's the brand?
let me roll this up.
Should be right there on the label, man.
I got these from the House of the Lucky Cigar. So
Oh,
these are
okay.
some Lucky cigars.
She smokes cigars, so that's why.
Oh yeah.
You
So
talk
Okay.
about
the
it
good
like
ones.
every do. That's once a year.
Well, like, whenever I get you a cigar, you smoke it.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
once a year.
wow.
All right.
You know what?
We got a whole cigar lounge.
Maybe we can bring
Yeah,
Wifey
cool.
back on the second
Like
half,
in
man.
May.
Just
And
off
he's almost
camera.
1
Maybe,
year.
maybe
Other
we can
one
bring
is there.
Wifey back on the back half of the conversation off camera, and y'all can kind of bring them into certain comments.
Hey,
You know, without being on camera. That is. You know what I'm saying?
vámonos, papita, aquí.
It's
I don't
a
know
full
how-
house.
Tell her when she comes here, we got some cigar lounges.
Hey, agent said that when we go to Dallas, he has some cigars for you.
Some lounges.
Cigar lounges. I got the cigars for the cigar lounges.
He
Oh,
giving out
cigars.
boxes. He giving out boxes on your behalf, there, Fearless.
Oh, no, hey,
I probably do one a year.
no, I got about a whole box, so we can go through them. I don't go through that many, so if I can get to one of the
Unless
places,
it's a
on
sporting
Friday,
event. This is a good football game or something on, you know what I'm saying? All right, fellas, we into some conversations tonight. So we got two different topics we're going to be touching on. One topic kind of sparred off of a video, a little short that one of the YouTubers in the Philippines put out about how much he spent on a date with him and his Filipino girlfriend. It was 1,000 pesos. The YouTuber in question is Digital Bro Man, and he runs around Asia a lot. He doesn't do a lot. He's been in Colombia and everything, but he stays around Asia. I think he now is dating officially in a Filipino full time. But
question: do you want to start with that because it looks like
no, he's hanging out in the background till his lunch. So
yeah, he says I have 10:30 to 11:45, which is actually in about 10 minutes.
Right. We'll start off with that. And then we'll bring him in when he's ready.
No, I think he's ready at 10:30.
Is it 10:30?
No, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Right, but we're not going to wait until 10:30.
I'm saying we can talk, but
yeah. Let me play this video real quick just to start us off on the conversation and kind of where our mindset was when we first started this whole conversation with. Now, let me tell you.
Yeah, so tonight we have two specials. One is how much did you spend on a date? So we're going to get a little bit into that, and then we want to bring No Excuses up. And he wants to talk about getting married abroad, getting married local, bring them back, don't bring them back. You know, his experience, and we want to get into that a little bit.
You gotta be kidding. Basically, this is the one video I did not load. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me? 1 2 1 2.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we can hear you.
Basically, we're gonna just talk about life married to a foreigner. I've married to a foreigner. Fearless has married to a foreigner, and Roland may be marrying to a foreigner. So this is gonna come from different perspectives, from different countries, and we're gonna weigh the option: is it worth bringing them to the States or keeping them in their country? Does it work? Yes or no?
Facts.
Actually, you know what, Roland? Can you put a poll to find out? You know, would you bring your foreign wife back to the United States? Yes or no?
Yeah, on the second half, I am going to do that. Right now. I'm running a poll for, in my room, I have a poll running. It says, how much would you spend on the first date? And I have the spread is $150 to $120, $50 to $120, $150 to $300, $300 to $500, and $500 to $1,000 on the first date. Now, believe me, I got proof that some dudes have already done this, and he admitted it, especially on Valentine's Day. Think about it. You know what I'm saying?
But on one date. Is this a first date, or is this somebody you've been courting? So I think that's the first thing.
That's a big thing right there. Is if it's somebody you're already in a relationship with, then some of this is no harm, no foul. You've already vested into the person enough to know. You know, so yeah, that's a very good point.
Because if it's somebody you just met, which a lot of guys go out there and try to impress them people with somebody they just met and they ball them out. I can't do it. Well, let's see who can. So I think I was blessed. So God knew that I didn't need money as a young guy. He knew that it was best for me to be broke. So I couldn't ball out as a young guy. So as I progressed and got more money, I got a little wiser. And I said, man, I was able to date girls and get girls with no money. Why, when I have some money now, do I need to strut my money?
Right.
And actually, I started to spend less and say, you know what? I got money, but I'm not going to these places on the first date. We're not going to do that. So I think it was wise that I was able to be who I was without anything. And then all of a sudden, when I got some, I didn't have to ball out.
Right. I got feedback. I don't know if you guys can hear that too.
All right.
Yeah, I just turned it down. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start with this one video. We're going to start with a pro athlete, somebody that's a high profile individual. And we're going to hear what he says a first date would look like for him. Now, this guy has money. So you would think that spread I gave you wouldn't be a big deal to him. But listen to somebody that has wealth and how much they're willing to actually put out for somebody, even a value.
What is a good amount of money to spend on a first date? A lot of girls feel like I got to spend a minimum $300 to be with them. I'm like,
300 what?
$300.
American dollars?
Dollars.
Please. On who? On the first date?
Yo, Chad.
For what?
You're considered a high value man. So ladies, this is
High value?
this. You got money?
I think high value is based on stream of income, revenue, but I am extremely cheap and financially conscious, so I don't consider myself a high value man.
And you have a lot of money.
Yes. Yes, and I'm gonna save it, which is why a $300 date ain't never happening. Because what am I paying for actually? If I'm at wit's end and I need help and I'm with you and you need a $300 date, can she save me? Can she help me? Is she an asset or is she a liability? Because anybody need a $300 date off rip is nothing but a liability. I mean, it is. Let's call a spade a spade.
I'm with you.
The women that want $300 dates, there are men out there that are going to continue to take them on them. That's why the women can always say, I'm not doing nothing but $300 a date. Because there are men that will spend $300 to reach their end goal. We know what the end goal is.
Wow.
What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I'll say this. When I was single, my days in Miami, my days in Chicago, I never had to pay that much. Lucky for me, I'm very creative in how I do things. And lucky for me, I've always attracted women that had their own shit. So I've always attracted women that had more than me.
That makes a difference.
I never really had to pay. Now, granted, I mean, I wouldn't mind if I have an interest in you. I will go above and beyond to make sure that you feel appreciative and you feel like you're the one that I want to be with. But to spend $300 on a first date, no, I will never do that. Now, even my wife, she will say we're not spending $300. What for? That's groceries. That's that's a bill. So if your partner doesn't even try to see the rationale behind you not spending $300 and she's still encouraging you to do that, or your potential date, walk away, because that's ridiculous.
Fearless?
I agree. So let me give you some background. I lived in the same city as Ocho. So for the first 3 years where Ocho was playing, he actually stayed in the field house. He was too cheap to get an apartment. Not that he didn't have no money. He just said, they got everything I got here. I got, I can get in the ice tub. I got a theater. I got food. Everything I need is right here. Even when he talks about his earrings that he wears, he said, I get these at Claire's. Claire's is, if you don't know, that's the cheap glass earrings that you get. He said, when a woman looks me up, they already know my wealth. They already know how much I have. So I don't have to impress. If they already know I'm a millionaire, why do I have to show them that I have millions? And I think that's the smartest thing to do. If you start to lead with your wallet, and you can only go up, and that's what guys don't understand. If you're spending all that money on a first date, you're only going up from there.
I love the fact that he corrected him when he said that he was not a high value man. Because again, when guys lead with that shit, I'm a high value man. Guess what? She gonna test your high value ass.
Period.
You know what? You a high value man? Wait, hold on. You a high value man? Let's go to Ruth Chris.
Yeah. And I got some videos going to show a chick say, once you start that level, don't think you're going to back up. Whatever level you start at, you need to progressively go up, not down.
I was the guy will invite the lady to my apartment, cook her dinner. I'll make my damn drinks.
Bet.
We'll chill out, go to Blockbuster, get a movie.
Right.
Damn, Blockbuster, man. and man, just have a great time, a great positive vibe. And these were very attractive, well-to-do women. But again, I never led with money. I led with where I show an interest. But hey, I want to get to know you. And from there, let's go to events. Let's do activities, bowling, skating. This is all type of things you could do. So when people say you got to leave with going to a restaurant, that's the worst place to start off any first date, a restaurant or a movie.
So here's the video that started the whole conversation in the Lions Den group. So We're going to play this and then talk about it. And then I'm going to show you a guy that dates on a regular basis. And I'm going to show you the worst case scenario, $2,500 in a month. And both me and Fearless have been dealing with a young man that was spending that kind of money every month for 7 months and didn't get nowhere with the chick and never set any ground rules for progression within the dating realm. But let's start off with this one.
How far does 1,000 pesos in the Philippines go? I'm gonna find out. First things first, got some movie tickets. In America, you'll never see this. The movie theater comes with free popcorn. And then we got an insane amount of food for the price. I tried Halo Halo for the first time. It slapped. Here's how many tokens you get at the arcade for less than $2. Karaoke is like 2 tokens. Games are like 1 token. It's insane. We could have spent all day here if we wanted to. I didn't expect the $20 to last that long, and I really didn't expect the date to turn into a year-long relationship. To be honest, I don't have a lot of money in America, but I am thriving here. Me and my now girlfriend Jewel get to basically travel the world now based off the US dollar going as far as it does. I even have an apartment in the Philippines now for $500 a month. It has a pool and a gym. I used to pay $1,400 for a lame spot in Seattle. America really had me believing the only way to up my lifestyle was to chase money, just make more money. But I was able to 5x my lifestyle just by leaving. It's like a get rich quick scheme that is legal and works.
So
$20.
my question, but here's my question: Who set the bar? Meaning, was it the females that said you had to spend more on me, or was it the men going out there saying I'm trying to impress?
The men.
I'm going to say it's a standard. It's a combination of both. The men setting a standard to try to blow out the chick the first date instead of getting to know her, and then the women coming back with that expectation because they have been done that way from somebody else prior. Now it's a given expectation.
I think it's men. Men need to take accountability that they started this trend, trying to one up the next man. And even now, you have all over TikTok and social media where men are clowning other men for not spending more money on dates. So,
Really?
yeah, man. Like, honestly, I've been spending more time on TikTok than YouTube nowadays.
Mhm.
And some of the foolishness you see and hear, I'm like, wow. And people eating that up, man. So, yes, I think it's the men. It's the man fault.
Okay. Now I'm going to confirm your suspicions, Kanal, with this next guy and the way he dates. It's incredible.
So I thought this was a fun comment. I wrote down all the dates I went on for February, and this is just like the dinner dates. No Ubers, no, none of that. I have it written down here. But yeah, I did the math, and I'm broke now. So if you guys want to sub, that'd be appreciated. So we start with February 1st. February 1st and 2nd. This was the weekend in San Francisco with Miss Bayshore. Dinner, we went to Brenda's French Soul Food, $86.51. Breakfast the day after, Kitchen Story, $90.55. February 5th with Miss FedEx, the infamous Miss FedEx now. Dinner was Zinc, downtown LA, $2.24.04. February 6th, Miss Diamond. We went to dinner downtown La Grande, $149.66. February 7th and 8th, Miss Jet, the one that flew in. We had lunch for $54.79. Before dinner, we went to a winery. We spent $60 at the winery for tasting. I hope it's not too loud out here. Dinner was Seta Cento downtown, $212.70. That dinner was actually special. That dinner was worth $200. Delicious. February 14th, Miss Diamond, Valentine's Day, mind you. Dinner was at Republic in Hollywood, I think, somewhere. $810.60.
I beg your pardon?
Moving on. February 18th, Miss B, dinner at Kobe's. My favorite spot. Shout out to Claire again. I give her props every time because it's the single greatest thing she's benefited my life with. Yeah, dinner at Kobe's, $152.39. February 25th, yesterday, with Miss Batty. We went to Joyce, not Joey's. I saw some of you commenting Joey's, not Joey's, Joyce. And that was $213.49. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dates this month. Total was $2,054.73.
That's all y'all need to hear. 2,000.
Did he? What the real question is? Did he smash?
Well, he at least 3 different women that he named out there, beside for one steady that he took to Valentine's for 800 some bucks. He also had a couple other side chicks.
What is he getting from it? I mean, what is the
I don't know. But we see our boy. We got a special guest in the house. No Excuse, Passport Bro podcast. The originator, the one that cannot be duplicated. Welcome to the panel.
What's good, man? How y'all doing?
I'm good, man.
Doing well.
Okay. Shout out to Fearless, Ronan, and Kanal, man.
Appreciate you coming up. And we're going to switch to the second half of what we were going to be talking about. We're kind of playing with your lunchtime, so we want to kind of let you get your points out and talking points and the things you want to bring up on the subject. And obviously 3 of you guys have been married to foreign women. I'm looking at that potential now, and we'll see once I get over there if everything is in alignment to where that still progresses on. But you have been also married, and you did a podcast which both myself and Black Man Travels heard. Mm-hmm. And kind of sparked the second part of this conversation, which is married life when it comes to bringing them here, leaving them abroad, as far as a foreign woman. So a lot of our viewers are some of your viewers, but a lot of them are not. So if you want to go through what you were kind of talking about on your live, as far as your experience with the marriage, your takeaways, and what you feel like you're going to do differently moving forward, we really appreciate to hear that.
All right, cool, man. Appreciate the invite, man. Let me first say, man, Kanal, I never expected to be in this position, man. A lot of things that happen is
no excuse. When I watched that video, I stopped what I was doing, sat down and watched the entire thing. I'm like, what? That was a surprise to me, because I was there at your wedding, and it was a beautiful wedding, man. And I really enjoyed myself. A lot of beautiful women there too. Oh my God. But it's just like when I saw that, I was like, wow, what happened? So you're on the floor, bro.
Yes, sir, man. So yeah, Kanal was at my wedding, man, and you know, everything seemed like it was hitting on all cylinders, man. And you know, I'm gonna preface and say I don't know about Fearless, but I know Kanal's been married before his current wife, and I know Ronan has been married before too.
Nice.
And have you been married before, Fearless, or at least your first?
Nope, first time.
Okay, first time. Okay, so when I had talked to Brother Andre from Love Crossing Borders about it, when I told him when I was going through, when I initially started going through divorce, he was like, you know, he was like, bro, I've been there before. You know what I mean? Like he kind of gave me a tough love approach. He was like, man, I've been divorced before. He was like, you know, just regroup and move on, which he did. And so I just want to start off to say, like, if anybody is on a journey that wants to get married, you know, some guys may get it right the first time, some guys may get it right the second time, you know, or maybe some guys may have to get it right the third time. But so we are going to talk about just learning, and maybe somebody like Fearless maybe he learned from other people, and he'll be able to get it right the first time. So I would say in my situation, I did feel like I picked I did feel like I picked the best woman for me, based on where I've been traveled to, you know what I mean? And I feel like out of all the countries I had traveled to up until that point, Colombia was the best option, and I still believe that to this day. You know what I mean? I still say if I met my wife all over again, I would still marry her all over again. It would just have to be under different circumstances. So, um, so there's no indictment on her per se, or I don't even want to say myself. Sometimes, a lot of things are circumstantial, and a lot of things are about being ready. So I have, and still have been a big proponent of don't bring them back to the States. I have, for a lot of reasons, statistically, the stories, and I always looked at it as like, well, it defeats the purpose of finding a woman abroad if I'm going to bring her back to the U.S. I do have some exceptions now. I still believe that if I was to bring a woman to the U.S., she would have to be of a certain age or older age, which means I would have to be older. I say 40 and up, but I mean, guys are marrying younger women, so that's not ideal. And then now, I have been looking towards like, my faith, which I've been studying, which is like the Ethiopian Orthodox faith, And so I don't want to get too far in that, but for myself, I have my personal rules that I want to stick by if I was to bring a woman to the U.S. And my wife, she didn't fit those criteria, so that's why it was a long distance marriage. Now, what guys in the travel space have to understand, Password Bros, is that playing it too safe you can lose your woman playing it too safe. We want to play it too safe. I did the prenuptial agreement. I didn't bring her back to the States. I felt like I had the upper hand, and I felt like I had the power, but a person can take away their power just by deciding that they just would rather be poor, they'll rather be alone. So the power that you think you have, a person can just take away by just saying, you know what, I'm out. So playing it safe versus playing it too safe. I did play it safe. One thing she had told me was that, she was like, she felt like I didn't want her to have anything because the prenup, even though she understood the prenup, that was one example of, in her mind, me not wanting her to have anything, the prenup. Then me not wanting to bring her to the U.S., which we agreed on beforehand. That was another example in her mind where I didn't want her to have anything. So in her mind is like, okay, does he really love me? And that could have been a combination of maybe her family, magnified those feelings. But she started to feel like, does this person really love me? He doesn't want me to have anything, with the prenup. And culturally, that's not something that they're used to. A prenup, culturally, they're not used to, obviously a long distance. Culturally, they seeing foreign men bring their Colombians to their home country. That's what they're seeing culturally. So I was doing a lot of things outside what she would expect culturally, and because I was playing it safe. Now, on the flip side is that, some people will say, well, you know what, man, you should have brought her to the U.S. Some of my families felt that, but in my mind is like, well, if she wanted a divorce and we wasn't in the U.S., the likelihood of her wanting a divorce while we're in the U.S. will only multiply. So I don't believe that me bringing her to the U.S. would have. I can't say that it could have helped in some ways, but I think that a person that has the spirit of the divorce is going to have that spirit anywhere that you go. You know what I mean? The spirit of divorce is not in me, because that's just not my value system. But if a person has the spirit of divorce, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're at. So that's a thing too. A lot of women, they'll get into marriages, or a lot of women before marriage, they'll say, you know what, I don't believe in divorce. And we know the divorce rates, 80% of women file for the divorce. And most women go into marriage saying that that's something they will never do. So it's hard. It's very difficult to vet a woman to not know if she has the spirit of divorce in her, because we'll never know. And so I don't want to get too far ahead, but at the same time, and this goes to the prenup thing, women do try to guilt men and say, well, why should we get a prenup? You don't love me, all the things that women will guilt men if they want to do a prenup. I still say stand on your business when it comes to that. You shouldn't be looked as if you don't love her because you want to protect your assets. So I did protect myself financially, but you still leave with a broken heart, so you can't protect that. You know what I mean? And so, just in case you guys want to add anything or have any questions, I'll pause there before I say anything else.
I have questions.
I got a lot of questions, brother. I got a lot.
Hey, wait. Let's keep it within the first part of what he delivered, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I guess my question to you is like, where did you get this not bring them to the States? Well, I'm sorry. If you were to bring them to the States, would that corrupt them and make them feel like it will lead to divorce? At what point did that start coming to your head? Before you got married or while you were married?
No, before. I mean, like I said, a lot of us kind of have that going into traveling, going to relationships, is the number one in Passport Bros ideology. Don't bring her back to the U.S. And and statistically, it's statistics. That's kind of what it stems from.
I mean, I agree, because most guys that I know who married to someone foreign, domestic or overseas, file for divorce within the first 5 years. And simply to the fact that they never really got the chance to know the true values and morals and to see whether or not they are truly compatible. For me, when I made the decision to bring my wife here to the States, I knew instantly, like, I'm bringing you to the States because, like, right now I have to work. And there's no way I could keep flying back and forth between here and DR. And I want her to be here next to me. And the fact that she was pregnant at the time is like, listen, I want my kid to be raised here in the United States. So when I made that decision, and to this day, no regrets. I love the fact that when I walk in the house, I see her, I see my kids, and we have a good, happy home. And that's something that I always wanted, and I got it after 10 years. So again, depending on the person, if you have a desire to bring someone to the United States, make sure you go through that vetting process. We always say that, vet that person, make sure this is something that you want to do. Again, you got to go beyond the looks, because again, looks are going to fade. She's going to gain weight, things happen. But the thing is, do you guys have that substance, the intangibles to keep you guys together? So that's something that to this day, I have no regrets. I will not tell a guy not to bring it to the States. My question to them will be, are you ready for that?
It's a risk either way. What I mean? It's a risk either way.
I don't think so. So my question is, may I ask what state you live in?
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
All right. Would you have married a woman in Los Angeles and let her stay in Los Angeles while you stayed in Philadelphia?
No.
Then why would you marry a woman in Colombia, make her stay in Colombia, and think it would work? You wouldn't have two homes if the woman lived in California and you lived in Philly. It wouldn't make sense. Y'all wouldn't get together. Why would you marry someone out of the country and expect it to work if you're limited by visitation and phone calls only?
Well, we was together for 3 years before we even got married, and we endured 8 months of the pandemic apart from each other. So the distance part we were accustomed to. And I was there a lot, Now, in hindsight, yes, you know what I mean. A wife should be with her husband, you know, and so what I was gonna get to later was that I shouldn't have got married. Knowing what I know now, you have to stick to your guns and say, don't get married until I'm ready to do everything, which would include bringing it to the US. So because we were long distance back and forth for 3 years, and I was in transition to moving to Colombia. So it wasn't like it was like going to be a permanent thing. I was in transition to move to Colombia, but she lost patience, which is kind of still, you know, I question that because we were only married 1 year versus us being in a relationship for almost, you know, 4 years. And so the 1 year we get married, after 1 year within a marriage, like you lose patience. So, you know what I mean? I question a lot of things around that, but
But you're looking at it as you're married 1 year. She was probably looking at it as I've been with you for 4 years, and what has changed. So,
right.
and then I'm just going to put myself in her position. You not only get married to her, you set it up as though I'm still not giving you something.
Right.
As a man, when you get married, that woman's life, she thinks it changes. You know, I'm in Colombia. You're going to change my life, whether it's bringing me out of here, you're providing for me. I'm coming up. Just like if you got married, you would want your life to be easier in some way. You're going to cook for me. You're going to clean for me. So what in her life changed? That's my first question. The second is, why did you even get married?
Well, I got married. I knew in the back of my mind, especially after the pandemic, was like, you know, I knew that we endured that. Those that were in relationships during the pandemic, we endured that, and we've been through a lot, and we took our time with each other, and I didn't want her to feel like I was wasting her useful years, you know, because she is, you know, about 15-year age difference. So I didn't want her to feel like I was wasting her time, you know. And you know, she got, you know, people in her ear. You know, a lot of them still, you know, at least from her circle, they are weary of foreigners too. So I still had that foreigner stigma about myself. So, um, you know, I was ready, or felt I was ready, and you know, the time was put in, and it was appropriate to get married. It was appropriate.
You did a prenup.
Mhm.
What would be the difference if you brought her to the States? You still protected your assets. So you bring her here, you have a prenup, and she leaves you. What did you lose?
I mean, that's a good question. I looked at, you know, I would say this. I'm not by myself. You know, I'm not gonna put nobody else up, but I'm not by myself. Guys that have brought women to the States that, you know, that we know. So saying it all that to say is that what I've seen other guys go through in their divorce in the US is that yes, they may have not have to, their assets may have been protected to a certain extent, but you know, sometimes the man is on the hook for legal fees, and you know, depending on the type of lawyer she get and how much money she think you get, you know, she can put you on the hook for legal fees too, you know. And we've seen it. We've seen, you know, entertainers, you know, get hit up with, you know, millions of dollars of legal fees just because he has to pay for her lawyer too. You know, so those are other things that I considered. You know what I mean? Whether it was, you know, whether you bought it or not,
I'm
that's one thing.
I'm gonna say one other thing, and this is no meaning to offend you.
Mhm.
There was a few things that I heard. You said you wanted the power and you wanted control. Do you think that that's an issue? And I say that as a man, sometimes you want to be able to control somebody and you want the power over somebody. And And we think by either having monetary control over, financial control over, we can control their life. Do you think that that is an issue that you had to say? And I've seen it with guys that say, oh, she's poor, I have some money, so either I can control her financially. She can't do this because I have this power over her. So do you think that that might be a problem within you to say it wasn't love, it was a control thing?
Well, I mean, love was definitely there, but I will say I did realize that you don't want a woman that is controlled by money. You know what I mean? Because like I said, that power, she could take that power away, but just by saying, you know what, I don't want or need your money no more. And so the only type of control I want a woman to have is her religion, her following. That's the only thing that should be controlling her, is her faith. It shouldn't be finances. It shouldn't be, a man putting his hands on a woman. It shouldn't be even her family to a certain extent. So, to your point, I think that is something guys have to re-examine. You don't want a woman you can control with money. It's not healthy. It's not putting her in a state where she could genuinely love you,
But do you think a lot of men lead with that? Because, you and I have been in this travel space for a very long time, and we've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, the worst. And a lot of men tend to lead with their money as a form of control with most foreign women overseas. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
And when they bring them to the States, guess what? They keep them away from their families. They do things that's very controlling, very abusive, in a way where it's like, man, are you that insecure that you need to have that much of a grip around her life in order for her to be with you? And I think a lot of men, they go overseas with that mindset, like, hey, I pay all your bills, therefore you got to listen to everything I say.
Right.
And they forget that this person had a life way before you. So this whole notion about, keeping women where they at, that was something that we used to hear a lot back in the days. But if your intention of building with that person, why not give that person an opportunity to come to the United States? They don't need to stay in the United States. They can still come and visit. They can still, do something here. But just keeping them away from the United States, thinking that, once they get here, they're going to divorce me and they're going to take all my assets and everything else. If you lead with that mindset, you instantly failed. I mean, that's just my take on it.
I mean, at the end, but ultimately though, you don't have to get married. And that's another thing. Is like if you have, or if I had all those concerns, then don't get married. You know what I mean? That's the ultimate takeaway. And and what I tell guys is that if you, in my opinion, this is my opinion, there's no point of getting married if you're not going to bring her to the U.S. If you're going to live in her country, just live in her country. You got the upper hand. You have the money. If it's a weaker economy country, you can afford it. The cards are in your favor. You don't have to get married. You have all the leverage. If she wants to leave, she's less likely to leave because there's no piece of paper. So in my opinion, the only purpose to get married to a foreign woman is if you're going to bring it to the United States. If you're not going to bring it to the U.S., just don't you don't need to get married.
Let me ask one question. Hold on. Let me get some questions out, man. Let me ask one more question, but I want him to finish up the rest of his story because he stopped in the middle of it. I want to ask one follow-up question based on what he said up to this point. And then I want you to go ahead and finish out your story because I know you're on a timetable. You brought out one interesting point, and you used the word leverage a couple times, whether it be with your prenup or having the angle of you're an American, you're the one that generates income. You said something very interesting earlier about bringing her back to the States. You felt like she could not handle that. What were the things that she lacked in your view that made her incapable of actually being able to handle being here in the United States? Like, is she somebody that doesn't have her own mind? Is she somebody that's more of a follower than a leader? She's not independent. Was she more dependent upon her family? What were those factors that said, well, I don't think I could bring her back here to the States?
Um, I don't think I said she couldn't handle it. I think for me the factors was, other people's other people's situations, statistics. Um, and I think a lot, to be honest with you, a lot of it had to do with our relationship. So it wasn't like we had a relationship where we were like people are gonna argue and fight, but we had a lot of heated uh arguments at times. And I've been in a lot of relationships, and I know a relationship when people get along very well versus a relationship where people fight all the time. And so there was some red flags to say, well, if I bring it to the US, it's only going to intensify our arguments. And so I believed, and I still do believe, if I was living in Colombia, we would still be together. If I was living in Colombia since day one, we would still be together now.
Okay.
Now, issues could have came up later, but because sometimes you delay the inevitable, you know. But I think we would still be married, if I was there from day one.
Okay. Now I want you to finish up where you feel like you left off at and round out your story before the end of your break, and then we can ask you some questions till you got to go.
All right, cool. Just some notes I took. It is cliche, but people, when people say you want to marry your best friend, I do believe that's true. Now, the thing with best friends is you can feel like I could say, you know what, my wife, she's my best friend, but she has to look at me the same way. So when people say marry your best friend, you have to keep in mind that it has to be you marrying your best friend and she's marrying her best friend. You know, we've all had friends or male. We all have friends where we thought was our best friend, but they didn't look at us like they was our best friend. So, that's one thing that you want to keep in mind. When it comes to whether you should bring her or not, you do need to make sure your wife is in an environment where she feels protected and safe. Um, and I know, you know, Colombia is a place, people get robbed for their phone. My wife got robbed for her phone, and I was renting us an apartment in a different city away from her family, and she went out, you know, going to the grocery store, and she got robbed for her phone, and it was very traumatic for her, and I wasn't there, and you know, her family felt a certain way, and it could have happened if I was living there. It could have happened if I was living there, but that really made me look bad, I'm sure, to her family and stuff like that. If you could just imagine, your wife or somebody robbing her for a phone and you're not there to protect it, you know. And so that's something that I think had an effect. And her family was very influential. I think Fearless kind of alluded to this earlier, like the cost of paying for two separate homes. I got a home in the US and I'm paying, for a home in Colombia. And, I'm trying to meet a savings goal so I could fully transition out the country, but it's hard for me to meet my savings goal because I'm paying for two different cribs. I could have brought her to the US and we could have saved the money and moved back to Colombia or whatever the case may be. So, paying for two separate homes is very costly. And we were living, and she's from a city that's very expensive too. So I'm gonna get to people that see my community post. I talked about getting a woman where you can, if you're gonna live in another country, let it be with a woman where you love the city she is from. You can afford to live in the city where she's from because everything about that woman is going to be centered around where she's from and where her family is. Let's see. I we kind of touched on that. You know, and for women, if any women is listening, I believe that if you marry someone and it turned out that it wasn't your best choice, I still believe you should try to work it out. You know, I do believe that marriage is a covenant, and it shouldn't be broken unless unless there's abuse or adultery. You know, that's just my beliefs. Let's see. We talked about playing it safe. Now, I don't want to get too much on her, but I will say that, you know, my wife, she was a feminist. She, you know, we used to joke about it, but she's a feminist. You know, she denied it, but then after a while, she was like, you know what, I guess I am a feminist. So I did marry a feminist. I wanted a housewife situation. She was reluctant on it because she's more of an ambitious woman, and you know, she tried it, and she just realized being a housewife wasn't for her. And so
was this before or after you got married?
Before we got married, we agreed on these are things that was discussed, and she accepted. And so she changed her mind on a couple of things after we got married. She was fine with us not living in the U.S. before marriage. After we got married, she started to pressure me on her bringing to the U.S. And then on top of that, how close she was with her mother. And I was like, well, if I brought you to the U.S. States, would you want your mom to come also? She was like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just not something that from day one I'm meeting her, you know, I didn't want to be in that story, because what a lot of the detractors say, all the American women will say is like, all she wants to do is for you to bring her and her family to the U.S. So I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be part of that statistic.
So
you know,
can I ask, I don't want to interrupt you. I'm just asking some questions.
Go ahead.
Why not try to get a tourist visa prior to getting married, and then maybe, you know, on a tourist visa, she could come up, you could see if she's actually interested in you, and she can be here for 6 months and go back 6 months, and then you kind of can test the waters to see if it's what she, you know, if she's going to change.
Well, she was when we were dating. She was in the U.S. under a J-1 visa because she was in this au pair program. This was before we were dating, and we linked up. We linked up when she was in the U.S., but it was just, you know, we were just friends at that point. So me seeing her in the U.S. and me being around her, it did make me feel more comfortable about bringing her to the U.S. And, you know, if that came a possibility. But I think our relationship, you know, how we argued, I think that was a bigger deterrent for me wanting to bring her, because like I said, it's only going to intensify. You know?
Well, I could say this. Before I decided to bring my wife here, we got her a tourist visa. So she came to the States when I was living in Miami, and she stayed there for 6 months. And I taught her everything, man. I told her how the American system worked. I showed her how much I pay in bills so she could see the reality of how things actually operate. And I showed her from the low income people staying where middle class and upper class people stayed. So this whole illusion that she thought that, you know, what America was, she realized, no, you got to have a certain profession. You got to have a certain job to actually live a certain lifestyle. So I'm glad that I was able to bring her here through the tourist visa so she could actually see how the United States actually work. And by me bringing her here, it actually brought us together closer, because it gave me an opportunity to make me realize, like, hey, I could have a life with her here in the States. And but yeah, I think any guy that's thinking about bringing someone here, you know, try the tourist visa first. You know, come here, experience it, see how it is, and show them the real deal. Don't sell them a fantasy. Show them like how life really is. You go to work, you get up, you pay bills, you know, you do things, so they can see that this is a life that you can envision for yourself to live when you come to the United States.
No, we did do 2 visa applications. She didn't get approved 2 times, which I kind of, which was heartbreaking, so we did try, and it's hard to get the tourist visa, for a lot of people. So we did try that. So yeah, but she been to the US before on a different type of visa, and I was able to see her in the US environment, you know. Um, marrying somebody compatible too. What I mean? The fact that we did bump heads a lot, it was a power struggle. And I've been with women that I've got along with better than US. So, compatibility is important as well. Whether it's, even a foreign chick, even though you may have the upper hand financially, you still want a woman that you're compatible with too, because all these external forces, it doesn't guarantee that a woman is gonna stick around because you have all the cards. You know what I mean? You have the upper hand.
Let me say this real quick. So a lot of fellas, they say they want a housewife.
Mm-hmm.
The responsibility behind that, and you know this very well, is you now are 100% obligated to them income-wise to take care of all their needs. And you were splitting dual locations. Obviously, you got her an apartment. Unfortunately, it was away from her family, which didn't look good when she got robbed.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't close enough to her family to where she felt protected, even in her own country. But one, you got to take on the responsibility of 100% of taking on the income. A lot of guys say they want a housewife, but then all of a sudden they don't want to cope with all the bills and all the responsibility of actually taking care of a woman 100% of the time. Okay, you guys skip over that part with the Disneyland mentality. 2, a woman will get bored. If she's an active individual in her country, you bring her back here and you say you want her to be a housewife. She has no commonality with a lot of the people around her. She doesn't have a circle of interest or people or friends or family members around her to keep her interest. She's sitting in a house. Eventually, what is the phrase? Idle hands are the devil's play toy. Same thing with your mind. Same thing. And then obviously over time, and I learned this from a marriage I had where the woman that I married, her mother and father are together to this day. They've been married almost 60 years. But over time, interests change, personalities change. The person grows in knowledge. She gains access based on your income. You give her access to things that maybe she didn't have access to before. You know what they say, money only enhances who you really are. At the end of the day, you're giving them access, but also they're entitled to learn. They're entitled to change their opinions. They're entitled to grow. The point of what I was saying with Kanal earlier today, it's a very fine line of understanding when you guys grow as individuals, you should be growing together as a couple. And the nuances between those growth and those changes can't be monitored if it's a long distance relationship over a period of time. There's no self-correction or any kind of, what do you have to say, accommodation or having to kind of like give and take some of their views versus your views and have some understanding. You kind of lose that understanding and that ability to grow together when you're that far apart, as she's changing and growing in knowledge and presence, and there's a video I'll play later that talks about that in certain places, classism, all that has a factor, so I'm saying this in general to a lot of guys that are listening. You have to understand the person you meet today is not going to be the person you're going to see in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or even 20 and 30 years down the road. That person's going to change as much as you. If you gain knowledge at your job, you gain knowledge and experience and wealth, they are going to change right along with you. Either they're going to bond with you, or you're just going to meet and you're going to start to separate because your interests are going to not align anymore and they're going to change. You get what I'm saying? So I want everybody to understand that. And go ahead, Kunal, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, definitely. I want to piggyback something. I had the privilege to meet up with Fearless and his wife. They came down to Atlanta, spent some time with me, and his wife kind of sat down with my wife and schooled her, hey, this is what you need to do. And one of those things is like, my wife, she got her degree in Dominican Republic. She has a 4-year degree. She had a profession in DR. So for her to come to the United States and not do nothing, that was destroying her. And I saw that. And I'm like, damn, man, it's like there's nothing I could do because until her green card comes, she can't do anything. So Fearless Wife recommended, hey, you could volunteer time to do some translations. And by doing that, that energy, that will to do, like that fighting spirit of her came back because she's doing something that she wanted to do. So one thing I always tell guys is that, man, listen, man, as much that you want to dream, your wife want to dream as well. Things you want to accomplish, she wants to accomplish as well. When you say, hey, I just want a housewife, dude, being a house, I work from home. It sucks to work from home sometimes. Sometimes I don't talk to anybody. I don't meet anybody. So imagine you have a wife or a partner that's in the house all day taking care of kids. Dude, that's just destroying that person, man. I mean, unless you choose to do it and love to do it, that's different. But if you take someone like your wife, no excuse, she's an intelligent woman, professional woman, for her to lead that and become a housewife, that's not fair. That's going to be really hard transition for her. So I'm glad Fearless Wife spoke to my wife, schooled her down, told her things that she needed to do. And now she's actually worked for the Special Olympics doing volunteer work. And I said, like, baby, you building up your resume. So when you're ready and you get your papers, they're going to pay you. You get an experience. So again, this whole thing, I want a housewife cook and clean. Man, listen, my wife cooks, I clean, I wash the dishes. The little one, if sometimes she's tired, I take care of the little one. It's a 50-50. No, actually, it's 100-100.
100-100.
100-100. Sometimes she can't do it. I'm gonna carry the load. Guess what? I'm tired. I got the baby. Give me the grocery list. I'll go buy the groceries. I was doing this shit for like 20 years anyway, so I could continue to do it now. So, guys, man, just don't feel like this whole notion that you want this housewife, timid woman to cater to all your fucking needs. That shit ain't real. And this whole thing about I don't want no I don't want no feminists. Dude, the whole world is changing. Brazil, South Africa, all these countries, these women are changing. They want careers. They want a life for themselves. And you can't blame them. You can't blame them for not wanting that.
Let me give a slight rebuttal to that.
Okay.
No problem, go for it.
You can find what you want. Now, what you want may be dwindling or it may not be in abundance, but you can find what you want. What I've noticed dating Latinas and now African women, and I don't even want to say African women from different got the red hat going on.
My food cooked for me.
What I've known, especially East African women, is that what I want in a woman still exists. What I wanted in a woman, and guys seen this through my travels, because when I was posting South Africa for the first time, like a lot of guys were reading it, they was like, man, no excuse, bro. You look like your heart is in Africa. Like you look more at peace. Like people was really reading me and saying like they seen something. And so my personality type, and I talked to Brother Andre about this too, is that my personality is more from a patriarchal societal sense, more of a dictatorship. And not all African cultures are open to that type of relationship, but a lot of African cultures are. And so
you said a word, and I want to ask you about this.
Go ahead.
May I ask what music you listen to?
What music I listen to?
Mm-hmm.
My music of choice is, hip hop, trap music.
So what if I told you you can't listen to that no more? That's part of your culture. That's part of you growing up. You having Thanksgiving dinner, but you can't do that no more. You would be like, I can't do it no more. I think what you lacked is understanding her culture, especially in the Latina culture. Mm-hmm. My wife talks to her mom, FaceTimes every single day. Every day. I mean, it's just how it is. Her mom comes up here. Right now, her two aunts, that's how I got this. Her two aunts is in there helping out with my daughter, and they're cooking for me. Their family it's always going to be a family-oriented thing.
Right.
And you have to understand that. When my wife left her house, there was an absence in income. My wife didn't live on her own. She lived in the house with her mom. So when she left, just because her father had passed away, there's an absence. How does that get filled? So if I'm telling her, I'm taking you away, and now you have to watch your mother suffer, that's never going to be a part of it.
Right.
Because in their culture, what usually would happen is, it's unlike ours. When grandparents get to a certain age, their children go to work, and the grandparents watch the kids.
Yep.
And as a form of, instead of paying someone to watch your kids like child, they would just say, hey, I'm going to buy mom something to eat, buy food. She cooks for all of us, and she watches the children. We don't have to pay for it. So it's all in the family. So it's all a part of that culture. And what she's hearing from you is, you're taking me away from my culture. You're separating from my culture. You wouldn't want anyone to do that to you. So that's all that person can hear. You have to understand that you're not only marrying this woman, but you're marrying into their culture. And some of the aspects of what they do is entirely different than what we do. And if you're going to, go ahead.
No. I just want to piggyback that. When we came here, when she came, her mother came with her. And lucky for me, her older sister was able to get her mother a tourist visa. So I said, like, you know what? This is going to help the transition a lot smoother. Bring the mother along. I don't care. I mean, I got space. The mother came, and they both experienced the United States for the first time together. And guess what? I bought ticket for her mother to come back again and help me with this little boy because I need a break. So, hey, while my mother's like, nah, I'm chilling in Miami. Her mom's like, yeah, I'll come. So, all right, cool. We're going to book you a ticket.
But your relationship, I don't want people to miss out on this, is like a lot of things have to align. Like you have to have a good relationship with the family. Like you have to like them, they have to like you. For it to work. Like I would say this, her family, this was I'm gonna just be quick with the family dynamic. And I felt like her family was very weary of foreigners, me being a foreigner. And I remember one day, and what I'm about to say, it doesn't mean that it's going to be with any Latino, but this was just specific to this situation. So like her mom, right? Her mom didn't have I wanted to get to know her mom, but she's like, my mom, she doesn't have a phone, she's not used to technology, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy her a phone and put on WhatsApp, put my phone number in her phone so I could get to know her mom and I could translate and stuff like that. So I bought the phone. And we were on her way to her mom's house, right? And so I was opening the phone. I was basically setting up the phone so it's ready for her mom. My wife was just in the car, just heated, just really frustrated. Like, and she was like, "Why do you have to do that? I can do it for her, blah, blah, blah." But she basically treated it like I was gonna put some tracking device on like I was gonna put some tracking device on the phone. Like she was watching me like a hawk setting up this phone in frustration. I'm just like, damn, like, you know what I mean? So I felt like there was some weariness when it came to a lot of stuff. I bought my wife a computer for her birthday. She was scared to use the computer sometimes. Like I put some tracking device on it. You know what I mean? She factory resetted the computer before she started using it herself. So I'm saying it all that to say is that wow, that dynamic was kind of weird. And even like times where I talked to her brother or sister or her mom or her dad, they shared the conversations with her. So I was like, I can't even have a intimate relationship with her family because they going back sharing everything. And my mom had a conversations with her. My mom don't come back and tell me what they talked about. They have their, they have their own intimate relationship. So,
Right.
I didn't have that type of relationship with her family that would even compel me to even want to bring her and her family.
Yeah, I totally get that because like for me, I had to make that effort. So I purposely will go to the mother house when my girl was at work, and I'll spend a whole day there. And it just got them comfortable seeing me, the dad, same thing. And they got to the point where it's like I became family, where I'll come in. If they all partying, I just go to the room and fall asleep. And now it's like the mom calls, she asks for me, we'll talk for a little bit, and I pass it back to to her daughter. And now she's super excited that she's coming back. It's like, yo, you coming back to the United States again, staying for another 4 months. And yeah, I think that's essential. Building that relationship with the parent, especially from a different culture, you got to
not just the parent, the whole family.
Yeah, the whole family, man. Because I mean, the thing is, like, I'm Haitian, she's Dominican. Like the loud music, the loudness. It took me a while to get used to that, but that's their makeup. And they're very festive, very loving, and I had to show that. You can't walk in and be antisocial. You just can't. So it's like, when they out there partying, you go out there and party with them. You dance with them, you drink with them, you socialize. If you tend to be that standoffish person trying to get into a certain family that is festive, dude, that's gonna be a hard sell.
Let me add to that. My second marriage, I had a nagging mother-in-law, and my ex-wife used to use me as a blocker to her own mother, because her mother was trying to tell her to keep secrets from me, while all of a sudden trying to be in my ex-wife's pockets. So when it comes to finances, I need to know what's going on. She goes, well, I got to tell Alex. Y'all didn't know that's my name. And so she was like, no, you don't. She goes, I absolutely do. He's going to know. But what I wanted to say is, I understand that you had a relationship with your wife and you guys have an agreement, and biblically it says the wife's supposed to cling to you, not the family. But in that situation, the family still had to be involved a whole lot because you weren't present. Do you think maybe the family didn't necessarily, while she agreed with your lifestyle, you travel, you're running passport bros, you're doing a whole bunch of moving around this planet. Do you think her family was ghosting your YouTube channel maybe and not liking the interactions as you traveled and felt like it was dishonoring her, their daughter or their granddaughter or their cousin or whatever by your own actions, and what they might have viewed maybe ghosting a YouTube channel or one of your IG pages or something like that? You think that had anything to do with it?
No, I think that the primary thing is that, and I've dealt with this with a woman in the United States where, this was years ago, but she was on food stamps getting $1,000 a month, and she was taking care of the whole family. And at the time, I was crazy, but I was talking about marriage to this woman. And the first thing one of her family members said, well, if y'all get married, you're not going to be able to get those benefits no more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm saying it all that to say is that she was the pillar she still is the pillar for her family.
That's their pocketbook.
She's the one that they put up money for her to be an au pair. They, sacrificed a lot to, get her some education. So she was the pillar for that family. And I wasn't demonstrating that I was going to replace whatever she was going to be providing for them, because my intentions was, of being an American culture, like, we don't take care of our family. We take care of our kids and our significant other, but we don't take care of nobody else. You know what I mean? That's our culture. And so if she wasn't going to be able to provide for her family, I had to be the one that picked up the slack. And I think that, you know, I think that didn't make me that probably didn't make me as favorable. They probably seen that I wasn't willing to pick up the slack that, you know, she
Oh, you were not.
I were not. But let me say this before I forget. But this is the thing about like African culture is that some African culture is that when you pay, if you in a culture where you pay the dowry, you pay the family so they can leave you alone. You know, in Latin culture, even in Asian culture where there's no dowry, you're expected to contribute to the family perpetually. You know what I mean? So it's like, would you rather pay a dowry up front and get her family out the way? Or would you rather just be that person that you helping out her family, you know, on a periodic basis?
Brother, I want you to listen to what you're saying, man, because it really disturbs me. The problem is you keep saying her family. See, the Latino culture is your definition of family is not their definition of family. Their definition of family is their mom, their sister. Everybody is a part of that family. And you keep saying it's just me and her. That won't go. Even when you talk about African, it's like I'm paying the dad to get rid of him. What if she said to you, I'm coming up here and I cook for your mom for Thanksgiving and we got to get rid of her. You'd be like, hold up, we getting rid of my mom? What do you mean? I'm putting her out the pasture. You would think that was so cruel. And the way she looking at you is what you're doing would be cruel. Your definition of family is not their definition of family, but you're looking at it as one way. And I can tell Kanal probably has this. You're looking at it as a burden. Man, I wish that my mother-in-law was up here, bro.
Yeah.
You know, when she left, I was like, look, I need you a few more months. How can I get you back up here? Because I mean, you just don't understand what they do. You look at it like that, but she was a living babysitter.
Yep.
She was teaching her the language, the culture. She cooked, she cleaned, she did all of those things.
Yep.
I don't know how much you understand how much childcare costs, bro.
Even my mother in America, every time I had a child, a month before the baby was due, my mom was sitting in my house, and she stayed up to 3 to 4 months after the baby was born to help my wife get it through that whole postpartum depression, help her ease into taking care of the additional baby that we had. She did all that, and that's as a woman in America that was doing this. So let alone other cultures where that's a huge thing when it comes to bringing children in the world and family and feeling that essence around you. You know, you're missed when you dial them out of that environment. You're missed, and they don't realize how much they're gonna miss their family.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, and my wife talks to her family every day. All of her sisters, her mom, her dad, every day. I talk to my mom every 3 days. And but the thing is, it's just like they have a closeness that I don't want to interrupt. Mm-hmm. So when the mother came here with us, man, it was an amazing experience. It actually gave me an opportunity for her mom to meet my mother, meet my family. My mother ended up doing a big fish fry in Miami, where she came down and she met my side of the family. So we had the Haitians and Dominicans in one household. So guess what? I did my job, man. I unified the fucking island in Miami.
And your own little way.
Yeah, in my own little way, I unified the goddamn island in Miami, where we had Sancocho, we had bouillon, we had everything, and it was all love. And it's like, that's what I cherish the most, man. Seeing my wife smiling with her mom, with her family, and now her mother's coming back here again. And it's like, you know what? I can't wait for her to come back, because guess what? I want to go out with my wife. I want to go out and have a good time. I can't do that because I ain't paying no goddamn babysitter.
Let me say this. Let me say this because I gotta be a different voice for people that may think like me. Is I'm selfish when it comes to my accomplishments. Like, you know, now on one hand, somebody can say, you know what, Rob, you got a 5-bedroom house, no, 6 bedroom house. You live by yourself. You got enough space to bring her mama, her brother and sister. Why have that big old house if you're not gonna share it with somebody? You know? But me, I work for this. I built, I put I did what I had to do in life to accomplish to get that house. I want to share it with who I want to share it with. And so I have to be real. So I have to, there's consequences to that, right? My personality type is going to limit me to the type of women that I can choose from. Fearless personality type may give him more options. I'm just using you as an example. Fearless could have been a better husband to my wife than me was because of his personality type. When I talk to Brother Andre, I tell him it's like, your wife has a certain personality that I probably wouldn't be able to rock with. She wouldn't be for me. It doesn't make me a bad person. Doesn't make her a bad person. It's the personality fit. So my personality fit. I have to date women that's gonna rock with my personality. And so this is why now when I talk about travel, I'm looking at women that have something to bring to the table because I do believe I'm more open to practicing classism because if I date somebody within my certain class or comparable class, I don't have to worry about, having to take care of this or take care of that, or somebody asking me for something, or somebody need me for something, or for me feeling possibly that I'm being taken advantage of because I'm selfish because of who I am. I'm selfish because of my culture and how I was raised.
But you can you can do all of those things. Well, I'm gonna ask 2 questions. One, you can do all of those things. Like I still run my household. I told my wife, it says you leave your family and come here. So I don't care what the rules are over there. The rules where I'm at is entirely different. This is how we roll. I mean, she had to butt heads with her mom to say, hey, this is my household. These are mine. Number 2 is I want to ask what your personality trait is because it almost saying, why leave the country? I mean, it's like if you want somebody on your level in those things, why not just date an American woman?
That's a good question. I mean, I have processed it. That's why when it comes to the travel space, I'm 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Now, I'm not at a point where I'm going to resort to dating an American woman, but I do realize that, to your point, if I want someone in a certain class, she would have to be someone in the U.S. or someone that's in a different country in the top, 10%. 10 percentile in their country. Those are things that I'm still, that I'm still processing, but
in business, man, I'm in a leadership position. If I was to say the kind of leadership you are in mine, you would be a manager where I am, what would we call it? A leader.
You're an executive level where you can you understand how to delegate something out without having to have your hand.
CEO.
Because what you got to control the situation. When you get to a leadership position, you want to build the other person up. Like when my wife came here, I was like, look, you're gonna work at a hotel. You guys, you're gonna work. I'm gonna show you what the privileges you wouldn't have, so you can understand what it is. But my thing was, I can look at the wall here. She came here with a degree, and I was like, well, we got to get you your master's degree here. I don't want her to be inferior. I want her to move up as high as she can. You're almost saying, I don't want to build the person up. I'm cool where they at. What is bothering you if you dictate or you give the other person power to be successful?
No, I want a woman, and I said this on Osha Channel. I want a woman to already be who she is when I meet her. So,
and if you think if you find a successful American woman that
or foreign,
that she has everything, that she's going to be traditional, she's going to cook for you, she's going to do all those things. What does she need you for? Now there is no power dynamic because she's going to make either right where you're making or above what you're making.
Right.
Now-
So the
now
power,
the fin-
right. That's my point. Classism, is not a power dynamic in classism. You know what I mean? A woman gotta love you off the strength. You know,
But
she can love.
but you were saying you wanted certain things in the relationship. So you think an American woman who says, I am going to be just as leader as you, that I'm going to be able to wash your clothes, cook for you, do all of those things?
No, I mean, I never had a problem with a woman cooking in the U.S. That for me, that hasn't been an issue. You know, cooking, take care of the home, of that thing. My issue with the women in the U.S. was more about them not wanting not wanting them to commit. They wanted to live this single life, you know, until they, 40, 50 years old. That's always been my issue. I felt like I've been with more submissive women in the U.S. than I was with the women I dated in Latin America. To be honest with you.
Damn.
To be
That's,
honest with you.
that's the thing. A lot of people think that they go overseas and all women are submissive. That's far from
That
the
is
truth,
not
man.
true.
I'm like, and I tell guys all the time, well, I want to find me a submissive one. I wish you luck with that.
So let me read this first $5 super chat from True Prodigy 27. Thank you, brother, for the $5 super chat and the support. He said, if parents are going on a date was part of the culture, would any of you do it? And that's basically on the first date or even the second date, meaning you're having a chaperone. I say yes, I've done it before in the past, and I already know I will have to do it in the Philippines if I'm finding a traditional woman.
Man,
And if I go along with my traditional values as a Christian, a woman should be chaste and she should also be covered by her family, meaning her father or a brother. So I don't anticipate, if I'm meeting the type of woman I want to be with, that she's going to be free to just run and gallivant around without somebody looking over the situation. So go ahead, you guys.
No, I was just thinking about what you said. I had a 2-level up boss that just left, and I was like, "Where is he at?" Because I just came from LA. They're like, "Oh, because he was still talking to us." It's like he's in India, and he's over there. Look, man, they vetting families. He is vetting families for his daughter to marry.
Facts.
So they don't just marry the person, man. They marry families. One family marries another family. So that's how close it is. And I understand what you're saying. I had the house, I had that, and you want your privacy. And there's certain things that comes down to you, like, I don't have to deal with that, or I don't want to deal with that. But it becomes a cultural thing.
Right.
And if you're going to marry outside the culture, there's some things you have to accept. And even within the American culture, there's some things that you're going to have to accept.
So is that a yes? You don't mind having a chaperone for first couple dates, Fearless?
For wifey material, yeah, I don't mind. No. For other material, now you got to stay your ass at home.
Right. If she is straight up hoe, then we ain't playing that game, because that's a game. You just want somebody to get fed right along with you. Okay.
Hey,
but yeah, I don't mind that, because when I met my wife, I was met at the airport with the family. I was brought home to dinner and all of that. So it was basically chaperone.
Fearless made a comment in regards to the perception that you give off due to your social media. I experienced that.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. Okay. Rolling. My bad.
It's okay.
I have a website. So my website got a lot of my history, and trust me, the whole entire family gone through my damn website, and they're like, who's this, who's that, who's this? And of course, like, when I was traveling heavy, and they was like, man, he's always traveling. You're not afraid he's with other women? You're not afraid he's probably seeing someone else? Dude, this is what was being asked, because again, based on the based on the illusion that I was giving off, based on my social media, my Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, man, they were following my every move. And it's just like, I had to scale back on my activities and things that I was showing, because I realized, like, I was making her look bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, I didn't think about that. I was just about creating content. So I didn't put any thought that I was making someone else look bad in the process. So I had to like realize, and she even sat me down. I was like, I don't mind what you go and travel the world because this is what you love to do, but please just be mindful what you share. And I had to take that to heart.
There are. I don't want guys to just think it's one way of doing things. Like, and I'm not saying if it's right or wrong, but there are women that will let you rule with a heavy hand. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not out there, because there are women that will let you rule with a heavy hand. Is that the most healthiest type of relationship? One can't say. Always say this, like, whose governing style is better, China's or the United States, a democracy or a dictatorship? You can't really say which one is. In my opinion, you can't really say which one is better. It's a leadership style. Both styles gives results. So, I'm comfortable with my personality type, with my leadership style. Like I said at the beginning, it only limits the type of it only limits my options, and I'm okay with that because I only need to be with one person at the end of the day.
So to answer the question, for if you had be a chaperone on a first date for wifey material, would you be okay with that?
That's fine.
Okay. Let me read out the second $5 super chat from Darnell. Ronan's 8 more super chats. I got a goal. I'm doing Philippines or bust this month. Y'all know what's happening in April. I'm transitioning to the Philippines 100% of the time. So hit the super chat. He said for $5, support a Marine. Hey, Ronan, I got you a roommate in PI. No, I do not want your daddy at my house in the Philippines. Thank you very much. That's your responsibility. You take care of your daddy. But go ahead.
I do have another question. I heard some things that you were saying prior to you guys getting married, prior to you get together. You've seen some red flags. Do you think you vetted her correctly? And that may have been the reason you didn't bring her back. Do you think that your vetting was a little off?
So what I mentioned on a different platform is that I wish I would have traveled to Africa before I settled down. So if there was no, let's just say if Africa didn't exist, right, I still would marry my wife over again, because I do feel like she checked the most boxes. I'm not expecting no one to be perfect. She was she met certain things. She was a virgin. I was her first. She was young, she was beautiful. And, she was a great cook, great domestically. We did, she was, she does that. She is a feminist. She does get attitude. She does get a throw temper tantrums. Those are red flag things, but I mean, everybody gonna have some type of red flag.
everything you just mentioned, that's a human. That's a person.
Yeah.
We all got that.
So saying it all that to say is that I do believe I chose the right woman based on me dating women in Latin America, but as I expanded my pool to the world, I just don't think Latinas are for me at the end of the day. Latin culture, Latinas. I've been through Brazil. I've been all through Latin America.
So you're done in Latin America. You're 100% in Africa right now.
Latinas is not for me, and I'm not going to sit here and make it seem like there's no difference between a Latina woman versus an African woman versus an Asian woman. There are differences. I'm not going to. There are differences.
Oh no, we met feminists. They from Africa.
Begins with this D, but we ain't talking about.
Yeah. I mean, South Africa is South Africans, Kenyans. There's a lot of feminism. It's growing everywhere. But what I'm saying is that my personality, especially me being like a more pro-black, my wife was Afro-Colombian. A lot of the contentions with her was that she didn't recognize her blackness as a black Colombian like I recognize my blackness as a black American.
But no excuse. But no excuse. I mean, you can't expect them to have that same type of mindset in their country versus how we are here within the United States.
Brother, that's why I chose Africa.
But it ain't. You can go to Canada. You can
Now-
go to Canada, and somebody a black in Canada is not going to have the same experience as a black African American. So even someone in Africa, you can go to Africa and they feel like, you know, the white man is still much better.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're gonna look at you like you a cotton picker, brother. I'm above you. So that culture is, unless you get with somebody who just came up in your neighborhood.
But what I'm
you're
saying,
not gonna find that.
but hear me out, bro. As a black American, and I'm generalizing, as a black American, we are more closely aligned with Africans than Afro Latinos.
How so? How so?
How so?
Yeah.
Well, culturally, I would say this: like Afro Latinos, they are Latino first, or not their nationality first, race second. You know.
So are Africans.
Yeah, but Africans are put it like this: African embraces Black American culture more.
No, not necessarily, because one thing that you didn't realize is Brazil, Colombia, all of them experience racism. They know what it means to be black. When you go to Brazil, they're like, I know what it means to be black.
Some of them
and
be like
discriminated
racism don't
against.
exist. Some of them feel like it just happened to be that way. Some of them deny the fact that racism exists. Some of them, you know, for me, African culture in general, you know what I mean, we're more relatable. You know what I mean? I'll put it like this. I went to South Africa. They know our TV shows. They can recite music to songs from the 80s, 70s, and things like that. Like, I felt a connection being in South Africa, and they know what good times is. You know, the English language, it was a level of comfort. We relate with the English language with a lot of people in Africa. We're influenced. Africa is more influenced by American culture. You go to Brazil, they're not as influenced as Black American culture. The Dominicans are to a certain extent. You know, they wear Jordans, and you know that's why a lot of brothers love DR, because they do. You know, that we have some influence, but Africans in general, they are more influenced by our culture than Afro Latinos are. So
But I have to. I have
that
to.
Akon.
Hold on. I have to kick back on that just a little bit. And the reason they look up to us and they want to, and we know this as being FBAs, they come into this country because they're wanting the access to the money and the education that we have readily available. So of course they idolize something because this is the country they want to come here to make the money. You know what I mean? And they easily blend in here. They can't go to other cultures and blend in as well as they can blend in here. So why wouldn't you look up and I spy your competition so that you can come in and act like them to get the benefits that they already have readily available and maybe aren't taking advantage of it as much as we are? But I don't want to get into FBA thing. But you know what I'm saying?
Look at Austin Holloman. Austin did a Latin American tour. His, you know, however many years he started traveling through Latin America.
He's still struggling in Africa,
but listen though.
In South Africa.
But listen though, he still feels a better connection with let's say Kenyan women. You know what I mean? Some guys,
he said they beg to.
I'm talking about connection, bro. He feels a better connection. Like you can't argue, debate feelings.
No.
All right. Okay.
Everybody has their own personal experience.
No excuse. Okay. I'm Haitian, right? First generation, came in the States in 1978. You know, shout out to the FBAs for paving the way for us immigrants to come in and take advantage of the opportunities. Thank you. My first wife was African American. Dude, my culture is completely different from her culture, but we were able to actually make things happen.
Right.
Dominican culture with Haitian culture, our cultures are very similar. The only difference is the language. But if you look at the overall aesthetics, it's pretty much the same. Me going to Africa, I felt comfortable there because, again, me being Haitian, I speak Creole. We have a lot of African roots within our culture that's more closely tied to African culture. I felt comfortable there. But at the end of the day, it's all about me finding someone that I like to be around. You know, of all the countries that I've been to, I never met a chick that I felt like, you know, I want to come back to see you again. There was just one, and I just kept coming back, and it just 10 years passed. So I think this whole thing about culture needs to be similar or closely aligned. I don't think that matters. At the end of the day, it's really, are you willing to bridge the culture together and learn from it? Because again, my first wife was African American. We were married for 10 years.
I mean, it may not matter for you, but it matters to me. You know what I mean? African women could understand my jokes better than maybe an Afro-Latina can, and so I don't have to generalize, but I could just say from my experience, I just connect better with African women.
Right. And that's fair to say. Everybody has their own personal experiences, and some people might love something where other people just hate it.
And some people connect with like Asian women, and I can't process it. I can't process it. But hey,
hold up. What you mean? What's wrong with Asian women?
Nothing. I'm just saying, like, sometimes we may not be able to understand why a person can relate to a certain culture.
But if you want somebody to relate so bad, why are you going to Africa? Stay in the United States.
America.
Yeah. If somebody got to relate to you, understand, know your jokes, watch Good Times, where you going? Why don't you just get that right here?
No, because I'm a passport, bro, man.
You can take your American girl out of the country. You and your girl.
A lot of sisters nowadays got more passport than men nowadays. So hey, they traveling too.
I'll put it like this: if I got with a woman in the U.S., she's gonna be Ethiopian. She's gonna be Orthodox, and that's the culture that I will marry into, whether it's domestic or abroad.
It's not because she has a big ass.
She gonna have to have some ass. I ain't gonna even.
A lot of Ethiopian sisters got some asses on them, boy. I be like, God damn.
And I talked to some Ethiopians, and one thing that.
Oh Lord, don't bring.
We was no. I'm talking about the girls I talked to when I was younger. Okay. And we weren't the prime people for them.
No,
we were not.
It was white men.
It was white men.
White men.
Yep.
I spent some time in Minnesota, man.
Minnesota of all the places to find Ethiopian.
Yeah, if you want to find an Ethiopian, traditional Orthodox Ethiopian, go to Minnesota, man. St. Paul, Minnesota.
Yeah, they got plenty. They got plenty. DC too. I heard Seattle got them too. I ain't been that way, but
Minnesota has Somalians, Eritreans. I can't pronounce it correctly. Eritreans. Ethiopians. Man, they're all over the place in Minnesota. And my thing is like, how of all places, why Minnesota? But it's what it
is. Well, I'll just say something in closing, man. I appreciate the dialogue. Thank you for y'all for being
conversation, man.
Respectful. And it is tough talking about it, but you guys made it feel easy to talk about. But at the end of the day, my person, like I said, I'm gonna say this again, like my personality is just, fits more with African women than Latina women.
And you never told me you didn't answer that question. If you got 30 seconds, your personality. What is your personality?
My personality trait is controlling. I am a nice person. I am giving, but I am selfish about certain things that I may not. I just don't want to. I can't be selfish when it comes to certain things. But my wife would say that I'm a nice. I was a nice person. I got a good heart. She probably would just concur with whether it's the controlling or the cultural differences, but and I think she probably sensed it too. Like, my heart, I got to say this, I fell out of love with Colombia and I fell in love with Africa. And so, but I was married to a woman from a country that I didn't love anymore. And so that just compounded things. So now that I'm more travel, I could be more focused and more purposeful. And, Latinas is just not for my personality. You know what I mean? Not for my personality. My personality fits with African women. So that's I'm going to end with that.
Well, we definitely appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. I know both me and Black Man Travels, we were both on your live when you started expanding on it. And I know you have been approached after that to kind of answer some questions. So we appreciate you coming on the panel and getting out your points of view and your process of learning, because we all learn. We're always going to make mistakes. It's the process of evolving from those mistakes to make yourself better and understand who you are at the end of the day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Peace out, fellas.
All right, bro.
All right, no excuse.
So what y'all think?
Wow.
In my opinion, I don't think he vetted. I don't think his vet in the beginning.
I get the perfect video for this, and it's not in this country. But it's a Russian woman, and she's speaking to something that's similar to how men approach dealing with women when they're looking to either marry them or date them. And I'm going to play this real quick.
This comment, I'm going to be blunt. How do I find a Russian girlfriend? Well, if you want me to be blunt with you, I'll tell you this. If I'm being very direct, go on the Hinge or whatever the application, register yourself, put out, I want to find a Russian wife, and expect to be basically used as a passport, bro, because if you want to date nationality over personality, this is what you will end up getting. Most likely, you're going to be used, and I'm not saying all Russian women are like this. Hell no. But if you prioritize, and fetishize a certain nationality just because all Russian women are hot, just like Korean men are nowadays fetishized thanks to BTS and all the other K-pop male groups, or let's say black guys are fetishized for a certain kind of thing they believe to own. This guy's black. I know what I'm talking about, okay? Do not be surprised that you are going to be taken advantage of, just like you want to take advantage of having a Russian girlfriend. And plus, what is about Russian women that you want to have a Russian girlfriend? Like, can you be able to afford her? Because having a woman from Eastern Europe and especially Russia comes at a great cost, including financial, okay, and mental and emotional. Will you be able to handle the straightforwardness, the fact that she might be more educated and she may have more poise than you, a lot more poise, especially if you guys are from Texas or Midwest. No offense, guys, but Americans, like in the Midwest, most of them, like you guys didn't travel abroad, you guys do not know anything, you're not cultured as Europeans in general, or let's say Russians in particular, okay? Because normally, and I'm not talking about the entirety of Russian women out here because he's looking for a woman. Technically, the guy's straight, obviously. Like, we like to travel, we like nice things, and if you want a Russian woman, you have to pay for every single date. We're not splitting the bill. There are some women out there who will kindly offer to split the bill, but the vast majority of Russian women will never even, bother pulling out their wallet. Hell no. We expect you to be a gentleman, open the doors for us, to be dressed nicely because Russian women are visual creatures. Like, I am very picky. Like, that's why I'm still single for now. And we expect you to buy us flowers, to pay for all of our travel expenses, all of them. And if you want to be a provider, because this is what she expects you to be, you'll have to pay for her nails, her dresses, every single thing. Every single thing, okay? So be careful what you wish for, and do not prioritize nationality over personality. Have a wonderful day.
She got a thing for black men.
Yeah, she liked that.
It's not even just a black man. It was more about the message of being cultured. When you go over to these countries, you got to understand there's a classism thing that goes on. There's a culture thing, how educated you are, how you carry yourself, how you dress. It's the things that we've constantly talked about on these panels over and over and over again that puts you in an upper echelon area of consideration when you're in any one of these countries, let alone a lower echelon country that might be lesser income-wise. You still need to carry yourself in a certain manner.
And that's why
you get a quality woman.
And that's why I laugh when I hear guys, oh, Colombia is a third world country. Brazil is a third world country. Dominican Republic is a third world country. Do you know there are rich people in these countries? There's middle class people in these countries. There's people that live a way better fucking life than you live in the States. But the fact that you go and be around the lowest of the lows, you assume that everybody's like that and desire the same thing. And it's not always the case. So yeah, if you're trying to go out there and find a wife, you better go to other areas within that culture to meet that type of quality. But if you're not willing to put in the work, man, just go out there, have your fun, and come back home.
Yeah, I think his vetting was off, just to be honest. He seen red flags. He said, what she was. I think he just thought he could change her. And it's, I'm not saying nothing wrong. I just think because he just gave up on the whole country. Like I don't want nothing to do with the whole country, man.
The whole hemisphere. What you mean? All the way down to Brazil. Latin America is off the list. It's straight up Africa.
And I think that happens to a lot of guys when you go to a place one time and you it's like, oh, this is nice. It's different when you live there. It's different when you have to be a part of it. And then you start to see the everyday. Right now it's the nostalgia. Yeah. But they're all the same,
Literally, they're all the same. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, I mean, honestly, I totally respect what No Excuse done. I actually attended his wedding. I met his wife a couple of times, and she's a beautiful woman, very intelligent woman. And I was happy for him, man. I was really, really happy for him when he got married, man, because it was just to see that, man, wow, he's moving on to the next chapter. And when he made that video, I was in total shock. I was like, what? But again, that's life, man. It's like, me personally, I made the choice to bring my wife here because I didn't want to be away from her. And the fact that she was pregnant at the time, I knew for a fact that I didn't want my kid to be there, and I have no control of the situation. So guess what? I did what I had to do and brought her here. And guess what? I have no regrets. I'm loving this shit every fucking day. When I see her, we go out together with the kids, and my family loves her. Her mother's coming back into town again. I done my part to unify the goddamn island. I unified the Dominican Republic and Haiti in Miami, Florida. I did it. So hey, guess what? I should go onto the history books.
Start working on the UN. Yeah. But let me ask you guys something. You guys are both married, and during this conversation we had in marriage to a foreign woman, they were money earners for their families. And this is a thing, American mentality. We gotta get out of it. What did you guys do enabling them to either earn money so they can send it back home? Did you go ahead and increase what you would give them so that they can send it back home to your families, to their families, which is your family now? How did you guys navigate the income loss, as you brought up, Fearless, and also for you to No Excuse, Black Man Travels, because I'm going to get into the same thing too. I already know what the traditions are in Philippines. I already know that's going to be a topic of conversation if I decide to move forward. What did you guys do to circumnavigate that situation, and how did you guys work that out?
Well, with me, she had a house that her father had given to her. So what I did was I just said, look, just rent it out and just let your mom take the income. Whatever income is there, you take it. And when she started working, we just have a set amount. So whenever her check comes in, there's a remedy. I think it's called remedy. Automatically goes there. So every month, every time.
No argument. Nothing.
Yep. No.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the mindset men have to have. And that's why I'm bringing it up specifically. Because a lot of dudes like, don't give her no money. Motherfucker, if you don't give her no money, you fucking forget it.
But I don't know what. And I have
the way they say it
with my wife every time, and I Kunal, you probably understand this. My argument with the wife is every time her mom comes here, I'm always like, look, I don't need nothing. And every time she comes here, she brings a suitcase of, oh, I got you this belt, I got you this wallet, here goes this rum, and I'm like, look, just keep it. So I understand when we go there, when you go there with empty hands, they look at you like, huh? Because they've done so much. They don't look at it as being selfish like us. They just help each other out. Her grandmother, no money at all. But when she used to cook rice and beans and chicken, it was people in the neighborhood that could always come by and get a plate. Every whatever day they would do it, Sunday, there was always extra plates for people. So they never looked at it as that selfishness. Our American culture is like, I'm for me, and I got enough for me, and that's it.
And you got all this extra, but it's just enough for you.
Mm-hmm.
And fuck everybody else, even though they're part of your family now, and you took a resource away from them. You know, you're not supposed to concern yourself with that. What did you do, Kanal? How did you work that out?
Well, the good thing is my girl has a business there, so it's still running while she's here. But also too is like I put money in her pocket. Whatever she does with it, that's her business. When I was married to my African American woman, I used to put money in her pockets. It's like, hey, listen, I know you're not working. Guess what? I'll make sure you got money in your pocket. So in case you need to go do stuff you need to do, hey, you don't need to ask me for money. So that was the responsibility that I had to do as a husband.
Do you guys consider yourself simps for doing that?
Fuck no. That's my wife.
I think when it came to, I know this is gonna sound bad. I think when it came to the black women here, I ain't really giving no money because I always felt, because I never felt like it was reciprocated.
But guys,
does that make sense?
You want to do this for your wife. Like let's just put that key word in there. Your wife. Not your girlfriend.
Random ass chick.
You're for your wife. You do that for. You don't do it for someone that you're just dating. That's bullshit.
But a lot of these guys are going in these cultures thinking that there's not going to be any kind of monetary outlay for taking a earner that's in that household away from it if they decide to get married, even if they stay.
No, I mean, but you have to understand the mindset of that man that's traveling to that particular country and why is he traveling. So that's why I tell guys, listen, if you're not ready for that, don't entertain it, man. Just go out and have fun and come back home. You trying to sell a dream knowing damn well you don't want this type of shit, don't play yourself. Go out there, have fun, come back home and do it again. But if you're trying to find a wife, then you gotta mentally prepare yourself for that, emotionally and financially, because it is expensive.
And I don't think they vet them. They just don't. They see this end game, and they didn't see the process to get there, or what it took to get there. And that's the issue. You know, and I know we always go back to this, and I say, look, if I let me see another example, because Ronan don't like when I use that one.
Which one?
I was in I'll say it. If I was in a club of gay dudes, I wouldn't be gay. I'm not changing gay. I'm just.
I've been in clubs like that. That's not a big deal.
But I'm just saying. But no matter what, I'm not going to change. If your wife, because he said she had morals, she had this. No matter if you bring her to the United States, if her morals are the same,
whatever your basis is who you are.
Correct.
Yeah.
If she was changing, she was going to change anyway.
Absolutely.
You know, that influence. So
did you guys want to expand on anything as far as your marriages? Because we just heard his story. What are some of you guys' stories that you guys are married? And I'm transitioning into my story. You guys know something of it, but you won't know everything until the transition is done.
You know what? I think it's important that you have a community that's going to support the marriage. I got it on my side. She got it on her side. I'm building that community with Fearless, with his wife, so she can actually meet people and surround herself with good people. She met a couple of other Dominican women here who are married to brothers. And, you know, they live in Alpharetta. They go out sometimes. Sometimes I tell her, yo, go out. Like, you've been in the house all week.
Right.
Go out, do something. I don't care. I stay home with the baby. I'm all right. Insecure man would not do that. For me, look, I've learned a long time ago. My uncle told me this, and I was 16 years old. You cannot stop a woman from cheating on you.
Nope.
If you try, you're gonna die before she does stop. And that stuck with me, man. And it's just like, and I told her straight up, listen, you more than welcome to go to Washington Heights, because I took her to Washington Heights too. Hey, you could go there and join your peoples there. If you ever feel froggy, go. Because that's one thing I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna chase. I'm not. I'll put myself on child support and move on with my life, man. So for us, one thing is we make time for each other. We talk to each other. You know, I find out what her interests are. I try to support it. She wants to go to interpreter school. That's like medical interpretation school. I'm going to flip the bill on that. All right. This is something you really want to do. I'm going to pay for it so you could go and do it. And guess what? Within 6 months, you're making about $40 an hour.
Right.
I told her straight up, listen, I don't want you to work in fucking Walmart. I don't want you to work at McDonald's. I don't want you to work at any of those places because guess what? I have an image to protect. And I don't want my wife to do that. So guess what? I'm willing for you to take a step back, understand how the United States work, learn, improve your English, take some classes. So when it's time for you to step your game up, you're willing to do that. I'm not afraid to invest in my woman, man. Some dudes don't do that shit. I'm like, that's your partner.
Right.
You want to keep her like where she's at and you continue to grow. What kind of shit is that, man? So for me, I just have a different mindset. I was not one of these guys that felt the need, hey, keep where she's at, keep your foot on her neck. No, don't give her nothing. Let her starve. All this shit. Dude, people are saying that, man.
That's a brutal picture. Keep your foot on her neck.
I've heard dudes say that shit. I'm like, bro, that's your wife. I'm like, God damn, man. But for me, it's like I take glee watching her grow. I take glee her like able to handle her own conversations with other people. When we go out, we start talking to people, and she could really handle herself. I'm happy. So for me, it's growth, man. And I told her, like, whatever you want to do, I'm gonna support you. I've done me. At this point now, it's just really securing my retirement, securing my next phase of my life. But for you, you're still young. I can still help you. I can still help build you. And from there, whatever happens, happens. Now, granted, like everything else, this shit's not guaranteed.
Right.
But I got a son. If things were to end, I tell her all the time, I pay my child support, I'll split whatever I got to split and move on. I've done it before. So it's no biggie for me, man.
Let me help out with this question. He asked this. We need a stream on teaching brothers how to vet. I'm going to let you know something. I think I had it on my old channel, but I'll share this so you can see it. And it's still up. I just looked. Is it sharing? Why isn't this sharing? Oh, I didn't pick it. There we go. So if you see this right here, Bring Her Home. This is when I was on Austin Hollerman's show. And that's all I talked about. It was all about what I would do to bring her vet. Even later on, my wife came on and was talking about, hey, these are the things that you need to do if you want to bring a woman back. She was telling all of that. So
I was hoping your wives would join in, like even off camera. Remember, I suggested that earlier. We got in the questions off camera just to kind of answer, some or make some comments in what men should expect from women.
Yeah. And so just Passport Bro podcast, I gave a whole spew about the things you need to vet and the things that I did and what you should do with bringing them back. I mean, I even went down to where it came to social media. I know guys that have dated women and been with them years, and you never see them on social media. They don't talk about them. It's almost like they're a ghost. And, I'm like, is she proud of you? She not talking about you? So go and check that out. Maybe I'll put that link in the here. I'll tell you what, I'll put that link.
Yeah, drop that in the chat for them to go back and watch it. But we can always do another live on that.
Yeah.
As another topic. I mean, it's a good one to talk about. What are you looking for in the woman? And how do you look at their family, their past history, their actions, different things like that while you're communicating with them to figure out who they really are, not your perception of who they are.
Mm-hmm. And it's not, I think he said he doesn't want to build a bear. I don't need an ambitious woman. What the fuck? I don't even understand that. How do I answer that question? Why not? Why wouldn't you want an ambitious woman? Look, man, let me tell you something. I want my wife to be ambitious. Why? Because I need her to take up the slack when I can't, or there's some things I do. You may have built an empire, but if some reason you lose that, you can't do something, you need to have somebody to come there and pick it up. I needed to teach my wife certain things that she needed. I needed a twin. Let me just say it almost like that. I needed her to be in places I couldn't be, to represent me, to take care of things I couldn't. It's like if I could duplicate myself and I say, hey, I need you to learn how to edit this. I need you to know you need to talk like this for me. That's why I was so forceful on her. As I said, when she used to say, you need to do this, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. You need to learn how to do it because I need you to do that. Why wouldn't you want an ambitious woman? What kind of, if you have a child with this lady and you leave, you just said in the same position I'm in, you said you was 15 years older than this woman. One, men die before women if we at the same age. She 15 years older than you. You're going to die before her. You're going to die before her. What legacy are you going to leave behind? So if you don't teach her and she's not ambitious, no matter what empire you built, it's a one-generational empire, just with you. It's going to crumble right after that. If you didn't teach your wife how to teach him down.
Let me say this real quick. And this is not towards Passport Bros podcast or Rob. This is my mom's last husband who just recently passed. When he married her 30 plus years ago, he had 4 pensions. He was set. Air Force, post office, couple grocery stores, this, that, and the other thing. He worked his ass off. Never wanted to leave a house. Nothing. For my mother. It was like, yo, I married you and that should be good enough. I ain't going to leave you nothing to benefit from after I'm gone. And I think a lot of these dudes don't set these women that they say they love so much, or even their legacy, their children, up for success. Education, growth, understanding how to run the business after you're gone. Okay, somebody might move into the business. Maybe she does get remarried. Who gives a? You're not here. Who cares? You're marrying somebody who's 15, 20 years younger than you. You expect them to die the day after you do? It's not happening, bro. Sooner or later, she's going to meet somebody else if she has a desire to. Some women might not ever want to meet anybody else. You just don't know. But are you going to sit there and concern yourself right now, here and now, waste your time right now, worrying about what's going to happen after you're gone? And you're not setting up the woman that's having your children to be able to provide for your children, your legacy, after you're gone. You're going to let all those businesses and all that struggle you took for years to build fall apart in a matter of moments because she don't know how to run the business properly. She don't have to move finances.
He swoop in and say, I got you. I can show you how to do this.
Right.
And he take your money. So some other dude who knocking your ex-wife got your money.
Yeah. So if you're not teaching them the inner workings of how your business functions, or you're not building businesses with your woman where she's taking in an integral role on running it, you're kind of showing, like I told my girl, I'm going to teach you how to run business. You know how many different businesses I've been in? Executive level management. I can run a business. I know how to make money. That's not a big deal at all. But she doesn't. She's getting an education out of that.
I think what happens is, Ronan, and I think a lot of them, I think they don't understand like being like an executive level or being in corporate or being in business by yourself. If you have a woman that's good, you can work one side of the room and she can work the other side of the room.
Got all kind of leads in your hand by the time you get done that night.
She can talk and go in places that you can't. You know, and if I've heard it somewhere where the black guy, I know some black guys that said, man, I married a white girl because she took me in places I couldn't go. She introduced me to things I couldn't do. And that's how it's supposed to be, man. You know, to have that asset to be able to take it. And if you don't want her ambitious, what is that going to say about your daughter? Because if your wife ain't ambitious, she's not teaching your daughter to be ambitious. She's not teaching your son to be ambitious. So you have to really be careful on that.
You know what? I never wanted a traditional wife. I never had that as a goal. I watched my mother, a single mom, raise 6 kids by herself as a housekeeper. Worked to the point that where she literally had to have reconstruction on both knees.
Can I interrupt you a little bit? I think this is the problem. When you say traditional wife, a lot of guys think I want a wife at home slaving.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
not traditional.
when I say it, I want a woman who has traditional values. I think that's the difference in the traditional wife. Meaning,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's just like for me, I want a good person.
mhm.
Person that understands who she is, what she wants, and she has a very collective mindset, not a me mindset. So for me, after my first marriage, man, I didn't think I was gonna get married again. I went out there and traveled the world, had a great time, no regrets, no fucking regrets. Bump into this girl, seems pretty cool, became friends, stayed in touch, came back, saw her again, and it just kept growing. I never went out looking for a wife. That's the thing I think, and that's why I think when we tell guys to go overseas to find a wife, I think that's the wrong message. I think it's important that you go out there and live your life and let everything happens naturally. When it happens naturally, that's when you know you have a good thing. When you go out there, you're forcing yourself to go find a wife overseas. You're leading with your intentions, known, especially now with with the whole everybody's traveling to find a wife overseas. They know the game now. So
I mean,
think
even the Russian lady said passport bro mentality.
yeah, so I think it's important that, you know what, if you have a desire to find a wife overseas, all right, cool, but don't make that be your primary reason why you travel. Go out there, experience the world, have a great time, create those memories. Now, if you fall in love during the process, man, I'm gonna tell you this, man, right now, man, I enjoy this chapter in my life. I mean, granted, I had some setbacks, but when I come home, when I see her, when I see my sons, and the home that we're building, I love it, and I wouldn't trade it for nothing. And so for the guys out there who are single, go out there, travel the world, go out there, have a good time, man. Live your best life, but also too, leave yourself open to meet somebody. But also too, be smart enough to understand when someone's trying to use you versus someone that wants to get to know you.
Yeah. And Fearless, you even said there was a time where you had to reinvent yourself. You saw the market changing from one job function to another, and you needed to go back to school. And you took appropriate action and put you and your wife in the best position, but you had to take a step back before you could take that next leap forward. And a lot of guys don't understand that. Sometimes you got to take a couple steps back. I've told you I've had 5 lifetimes. I've had to reinvent myself 5 different times over these last 58 years. And I've had to take several steps back in order to move forward. You know, you don't become successful until you fail. You have to fail at something. You cannot be perfect. Life is not about being perfect. It's about learning from the mistakes that you make as you move forward in life. Understand that. This is not a movie. This is real life. You're going to make some fuck ups. You're going to make some mistakes. Grow from them. Don't be defeated by them. Go ahead, Fearless.
No, when I met my wife, I always say I was broke. It wasn't I was broke. I just had my retirement that I wasn't using. I was on what they call it, when you get old, they say a limited income or your monthly income.
Fixed income.
You know, a fixed income. Because I said I had something to do. So she understood what was going on. And I said, this is how it is. You know, I wouldn't send her no money. I wasn't doing none of that because I said, here's the goal. You can rock with me. And that's how we're going to go. And, you know, I think a lot of guys just have they don't vet them when they're there. I looked at all the small things. I tell you, when I used to visit my wife, I remember I was like, look, we can go to all inclusive for like 2 days, but you want me to stay here for 6 weeks? So she would find like an apartment. I remember one place like $15 a day. It had a little stove. She would cook for me. She'd go into work. She worked for the Ministry of Health. She'd go to work, you know, and I'm there. She cooked, cleaned, took care of me. I didn't even rent a car. She had a SUV at the time. So I just helped put some gas in there. And that's how we rolled. It was like, you know, this is what we're going to do. And I really had to actually educate her because she kind of pisses me off sometimes now. In this sense, I say, we got a little money. I say, like, we got a little money now. Because what she'll do is she'll go to the restaurant and she'll look at the prices. And she try to order the cheapest thing on the menu. And I'm like, nah, just get what you want. If you want that, get it. It's like, well, you know, I'm looking out for your pockets. But that's how it's always been.
Looking at the conversion rate from Dominican money to American, it's like, hell no, I would never pay for that over there.
But that's even when her mom came here, we went out. We went out to like Fogo de Chao or something. They're like, oh, I'm not paying $65 a person, you know. And they always want to see the check, like they want like to see the check to how much it is. I'm like,
you ain't paying it. Get off that check.
Yeah. But the good thing is, what I'm saying is, they're worried about your pocket.
Right.
They don't want to be a burden on you, and that is the difference when you get someone who's just trying to spend your money or who's trying to look out for your next generation.
Right.
Yeah.
Tradition. Ooh, he wants to divine traditional values.
Mm-hmm. And your mindset.
Go with that?
You can go first since you on a roll right now.
Me. Hold on, let me get this cough out. I'm sorry.
Damn, you got him choked up, Drew.
I inhaled on the cigar instead of blowing out. Me, I want someone who puts family first, father first, make sure that I'm head of the household, that understands that that the most important goal is how our family is raised, that we are compatible when it comes to education, when it comes to, I think I had a whole list of this when I put it down before. Language, education, family values, how we see future, how we're going to raise our children. And those are all the things that we started to discuss. Example, I have a master's degree. My wife has a master's degree. It was already taught in us that at a young age, these are things that are going to define us when it comes to being physically fit. You know, right now, we said, look, our child cannot get in front of an iPad, none of those things like that. No fast food, all of those things that we put to say that we don't have to be modern. We don't have to go out. We want to make sure that our family understands a system of living, a system of education, not having to be in the streets, that their value comes from within and not from without, things like that. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people fight on. And I'm glad I don't have to fight on that we had those agreements way beforehand. And I think she's actually more of a tiger mom to me, because she's like, she got to do tummy time. You turn her over. And so those things are great. And I think what happens is, I think somebody said about class. I don't think it has to do with class. You guys are just not evenly yoked. So you can find someone who is not economically on your level, but you can still be evenly yoked, meaning your values and things are going in the same direction. You know, is she putting you first? Because I had it, you know, with me, I'm like, look, you're not my priority. You can't be my priority. I have to make sure that my purpose and what I do is the priority, because if I fail, if I fall down, we all fall down. I need to make sure that I'm your priority. I got a question for you guys. I heard this and I'm just curious. A woman said the boat sank and she had a choice between to rescue her husband or her child. And she said she'd rescue her husband. How do y'all feel about that?
I think she made the right choice.
You know, if I can bring it up, I'll bring it up. I'm just kidding.
And the reason I say that, and a lot of women will say, "Oh, you're so cool. You can always have another child," and it sounds insensitive as fuck. But you can always have another child. But she can't have another husband like you. She can't have another support system like you. She can't reproduce that child that you guys had together ever again if you're not there.
Man, I got it somewhere. Let me see if I can find this.
What do you think, Kanal?
A guy said it differently. Go ahead, Kanal.
No, I totally agree with Fearless, man. I think finding someone that's equally yoked, not in regards to financial level, but just a mindset, emotional. someone that is caring, that has a very collective mindset, because I have a collective mindset. Someone that wants the best for me and best for us, that's always considering us. There's a we conversation, not me conversation. So
yes,
that's what draw me to the person I'm with now, man. She always had my best interest, man. It's like I did all the tests. Some of those tests were stupid, following other people, but I realized, like, I got an ace, man. It's just, like I said, at this point, I'm good. I play my role, she plays her role. Sometimes our role, switches. Sometimes I gotta cook dinner, I'll cook dinner. Sometimes I gotta clean this part, I'd clean it. It's what it is. But at the end of the day, you create the environment that you want to have with your wife, man. And it's important that you guys speak to each other. Like, take time to talk, to get to know the person that you're with, man. I think a lot of people don't do that nowadays.
What about the question he had about if the woman had a choice between the husband or the son drowning, and she chose the husband?
Logically, it makes sense. Logically, but emotionally, I'll probably want her to pick the child over me.
Of course, we want to die on the sword for our families.
Yeah. So logically, it just makes sense for her to pick the husband, but emotionally, I would say pick the child. Especially if I'm there, it's like take and say the child.
Did you find it, Fearless?
I'm going to find it. Don't worry. And if not, I'll sum it up. But go ahead.
So my thing, and you guys hit a lot of those things on the head when it comes to a traditional woman. She needs to bring peace in the house. She needs to be grounded in belief. She has to understand compromise when it comes to ideologies and certain things that we're going to agree to do or not do. At the end of the day, we have different roles in the house. She has to understand her role as a woman versus my role as a man in the house. And ultimately, if push comes to shove, who's going to make that decision and pull the trigger on what we need to do to move forward? Family values, level-headed, open-minded, all those things come to mind within a traditional woman. But aside for she got to be able to cook, clean. I can do all those things. We all were men before these women came in our lives. We understand how to take care of ourselves. So when it comes to that, even it's 100, like Kunal was saying, and we've said several times on different panels. It's 100. If somebody's feeling a little short that day or down under the weather, you got to be able to pick up the slack. You guys are running the race together, not as individuals. And a lot of times I think we get in these relationships and like these are clear defined roles, and neither one of us are supposed to blend the line between the roles and help each other out at any given time, which is absolutely incorrect. It's something in the military we do. In corporate America, you protect your position by not teaching people what your job function is and how to do it well. In the military, we teach each person to replace the person above us or our position below us so that the mission can get done. In a marriage, I think that's the better way to think about a relationship, is each of you should be able to be interchangeable in certain roles within the relationship to be able to get the mission, which is now your children, your legacy, everything that you're working toward after you guys are married and you start having kids. It's not about you and them. It's about your legacy moving forward in life. You know what I mean? So then at the end of the day, you guys have to be able to be interchangeable in certain roles without feeling like, oh, well, you're slacking or I had to pick up this. So what? Done it several times.
I'm going to play these two. It's two different ones. But when I looked at the comments for the other one, it just kind of surprised me. First is a young man. I thought I just seen it. I just had it. House fire. Here we go.
Yes. Who would you say first in the house fire, given the hypothetical situation that both Dad and I were equally difficult to save?
I'd go for you, but I feel bad for your father.
Dad, who would you say first in the house fire, given the hypothetical situation that both Mum and I were equally difficult to save?
I'd save your mother first, so we had a better chance of working together to save you.
I say that because the father thought logically. The mother thought emotionally. She was just like, hey, well, your dad, and oh well. But when he said, I'll save your mother, and both of us will have a better chance saving you. That's one. Here goes the other one I'll share with you guys. This lady who said this.
Married with a child. Yes. You and your husband and your child go out on your sailboat. Okay. The sailboat gets shut. It's sinking.
Yeah.
Who are you going to save? The child or your husband?
Look, I would choose my child's father because we can make more children. This is an impossible choice. You also have to understand that my hierarchy in my life.
I agree.
God, my man,
husband,
my children,
everything else. And
So, hey, that's how I look at it.
Mm-mm.
And you know why they used to have a whole bunch of children back in the day? Because all the children didn't make it.
Yeah, all the children got sick. There were diseases. The land still needed to be worked. So you still had multiple children in order to take up the burden of how hard life was. And you had to have multiple children to be able to implement the things that need to be done in order to survive back then. So, yeah, you had a cackle of kids because you knew you were going to lose a few of them on the way. If you kept them all, that was great. I mean, my mom had 13 people in her family. My great-grandfather had 15 kids. Come on, man. It's, yeah, some of them died, and that happens in life. It's not something as parents we want to see happen, but it does happen.
I'm going to put our stream in chat because I know we kind of going long. I know we're not going to go too much longer. So
yeah, I'm going to read this $5 super chat from Darnell. Darnell says, I disagree, Ronan. Children are the future. There is no guarantee she can have more children. And I think the men's nature is to preserve legacy. No.
Yeah, I think we had the hierarchy all messed up, man. And we talk about it. There was a pastor, and he asked the people to come on stage. And what was happening was the children were in the middle, and the one parent was on one side, the other parent was on the other side. He said, here goes the issue. The children come between y'all. In order for y'all to make this work, it was always y'all together first. And after the children leave, y'all got to be together. That's what a lot of us don't understand. Where we sacrificing ourselves for the children, and then we're raising children that don't understand what the hierarchy is.
Right. Let me throw it even. The Titanic goes down. Women and children first.
Shit,
Men on the ship last. I got family, first of all. Who says that woman has priority over my family and what I need to get back to when it comes to my responsibilities to my family as a man? I'm the provider. Secondly, say the women and children survive. Who's taking care of them? They're going to wind up freezing to death because they don't know how to take care of themselves in the wilderness. There's no men left, right? So at the end of the day, it's false to think that a man does not need to be present for life to continue. And that child has more importance than that man. It's the wrong mentality. That's the Disneyland mentality society has taught y'all. Happy wife, happy life. That's some bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
The woman needs to come first. God created who first? Man. He gave us women as a surprise of saying, we know you're lonely. He knows you're lonely. He gave you a woman to take care of your loneliness and to provide you with seed in order for you to be fertile and be fruitful. That's the order. You guys have let these feminists and everybody else twist your minds to think that women are supposed to have priority. That is not correct.
Well, we're going to bring up, it seems like Ozzy and American Live want Darnell to come up. And just to let you guys know, yesterday we had a great...
They got your back, Darnell.
Yeah, we had a great conversation. We were talking about erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, and prostate massages, where you get your prostate massage and sticking a few fingers in your rectum and massaging the prostate.
Did we have to go into descriptive
No,
mode?
I'm saying Darnell said that he was accustomed to it all. He suffered erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, and he's willing to spread his legs to get a prostate massage. So we like to bring to the channel right now, Darnell. How you doing, Darnell? And how's that prostate massage going, sir?
Oh Lord,
don't even start. That was you. That was you talking about prostate, and you kept bringing it up. So we all know your thing. I mean, just all we gotta do is run the tape back, brother.
Hey, Buck got it right. Doodle finger.
And Buck, I did put the link in the chat. I'll put it in there again for you.
It's tied to the top of my chat. You can click on the link at the top of the chat.
But I'm doing all right. I mean, other than the damn weather got me down.
Okay, so tell me where my thought process is flawed as far as a man being saved over a child.
I mean, that's just the way it's been since the dawn of time, man.
That's
I mean,
a bunch of lies. There's never been where a man took secondary priority to a woman.
Okay, the Titanic. We brought up the Titanic. That was a
recent
clear-cut case.
Show me in the Roman times where a man ever took the second seat to a female.
Who was okay? During times of war, especially Roman history is full of war. It was always to save women and children, right? It was always men would always fight.
What happened after the war was over? What was done to the women and children? They were either killed or raped.
Correct.
And reprocessed into slaves or as concubines to the conquerors.
But
when did that woman have priority? No, that doesn't prove anything, but they're being used. That doesn't mean they have priority. They're being used. They're being enslaved. The men aren't being enslaved. They kill every man, child, and every man for a reason. So there is no revenge.
Well, but using your logic, right? So wouldn't you say that women have more to fight for? So why not put more women on the front lines and, because they have more to fight for. They're getting raped, right?
Oh, no, you're being insensitive. You're going to put a woman on the front line?
Hey, I mean, they got more to fight for than the men do.
You just failed your own argument. If you're saving a woman first and you're going to put them on the front line, then you're not really trying to save the woman.
Let me ask you. Say the Romans fight who were they fighting back then?
The Gaul, the Thracians.
Let's say the Gaul.
Fuck that insurance, Drew.
If the Romans come in and they kill the Gaul men, and they take those women, what are those women going to become? Are they going to become Gaul or are they going to become Roman?
More than likely, they became slaves or I guess you could say entertainment for the soldiers.
Roman, basically, they become Roman because if the guy took her, she's going to become Roman. So that legacy didn't mean anything. Your wife just switched teams. That's all. So you saved her so that she can become
somebody else's teammate.
Exactly.
Well,
but
like I said,
you can feel better for yourself for falling on that sword for her.
Well, I mean, like I said, I don't write the rules of history, but that's just the way things have always been.
Next. But go ahead.
Drew, I don't know. From what I understand, he was taking it like a fist, just to let you
know. Y'all got how many fingers? Y'all really going in. But go ahead. What's your comment on the female?
Salute to the panel, by the way.
Salute, man.
I just want to say this, guys, man. Let me piggyback on Noah's speech, man. I feel like, and I'll just keep it blunt and honest, man. I feel like the guy has a my way or the highway mentality, and it's like I feel like you gotta have some kind of source of emotional intelligence. Like when I listen to Fearless, you can tell this brother has a high level of emotional intelligence. Like when he brought his wife to the safe, he wanted her to succeed. That's a man that's treating his wife as a human being. No excuse wants a slave, man, and that's a bad look. He wants my way or the highway, and it doesn't work that way, man. You gotta treat your women like your partner, your best friend. You can't be looking down at her and all that. And I feel like, I know he's looking for another marriage. I just don't think it's not gonna last. Or it's not gonna be successful. It's previous guys. You're doing the right thing. Yeah, very, very experienced. That's why I enjoy this panel. I could have been in Razor Rays right now. He's live right now. But y'all just dropped so many info. Like Razor Rays is good for entertainment. Y'all dropped some good info in terms of just like relationships, a lot of things. Like, so sometimes I just sit back and just take notes, and I land my fingers there.
Appreciate that.
And sometimes you got to listen to the other things. Like Black Man Travels. I remember when I was in Cuba, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm bringing my wife back. She's this." And a lot of guys would be like, "Why? Are you scared? When you travel to all places, and I have a good woman, and she supports you, because we talked some things behind the scenes, and I think he said some. I won't say any, but you really know your significant other when things are not in your favor, and things have gone wrong, when the chips are down, and you can look over and say, things aren't the best right now, and they look at you and be like, "We got this." That's the difference.
You got a rider.
Mm-hmm. And I have no problem with no excuses. I just think that he's saying two things at once. He's saying, I don't want someone who has the power to leave me or, do that. But then I also want someone who can do it, but I want them to be traditional and not have this. And I think that's an opposite of what he's trying to get.
Are you guys?
Bad. I'm not. Go ahead, Darnell.
I was just going to ask a question. I just want to make sure. Because I did join kind of in the middle of it. I just want to make sure you guys didn't take his words out of context, did you?
No, I think I have no problem with what he said when he said, "Hey, because I said I worked hard, I've done this, and I have a certain expectation of what I want." I have no problem with that at all. And if you're going to work hard and you're going to get it, you should deserve everything you want. I have no issue with that. But I think you can't change a person. You have to vet them where they're at and to see where they're at, and accept them, either accept them where they're at or don't accept them at all. And I think what happens is she was saying some signs that let him know early that was not going to fit into his personality trait. And I think maybe he thought he could change her or mold her into something. And that's why I said, hey, you have your culture, you have your music. If somebody says you can't listen to your music, you wouldn't want that. And I think that's maybe where he was blinded by thinking that, hey, I offer this, I do this. And because I offer these things, you won't leave. And to her, she was like, the money, it was inconsequential. I wanted something else other than the money.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I made that mistake, with my ex-fiance. I made the very same mistake. So I definitely can't criticize. But, the thing is that, and it could be that what he was trying to say is that it's not necessarily that he doesn't mind her having a career or anything. It's just doesn't want to be used as, say, a stepping stone, because there is that where, okay, you are used, and even American women here do that, and the statistics will back me up on this now that 40% of households are ran by women, where, okay, they marry somebody, they use them as a stepping stone, 7 years later they get the 7-year itch, and I'm ready for a divorce. I out earn him. He doesn't make enough for me. I don't feel secure anymore, or I can do better.
I'm going to kind of disagree with you, because if you bring your masculinity to it, You get it, because I know some girls that I know some women who are lawyers that deal with the pookies who ain't got no job, so they outgrew them a long time ago. So it didn't have anything to do with that. If you're coming into it as a man with confidence, you lead the household no matter your income.
So let me ask you this. So I mean, what was Corey Hardrick's problem with Tia Mowry?
Hold on, I don't want to introduce anybody else into the conversation because then we're going off bases.
No, it has to do with the topic.
I know, but we're going way off. I want to stay in the moment where we're talking about as far as the man's presence in a relationship over their own child, even. I want to get Passport Blueprint's comment and also Glow Spinner before we move on to a whole nother sphere of a conversation.
Hey, I'm going to give Darnell a little bit of a pushback on what he just said, because here's the thing. You're saying that, you know, you get these women from foreign countries, you bring them back, and they
Can you speak up? Can you speak up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better right there.
Right there? Okay. Here's the problem with that ideology that you just came up with. You're talking about two different cultures. You're talking, you're applying a westernized culture to a different culture, because you're talking about these women from overseas, which are more family oriented. You're talking about bringing them back here. They use you as a stepping stone, and then they toss you out. How do you know that's going to happen? You're applying a modern woman mindset that we're trying to get away from. You're going to another culture that doesn't have that mindset, but you're applying it to them. You're mixing two things together. That's where the problem comes in. Okay, if these women come from very strong family oriented background, where if this modern women philosophy, they got to be careful about that, because it's going to ruin their family, and they don't want to put any dishonor towards their family. So you can't mix those. You got to be careful about mixing those two together and preaching that, because it can be, you know, you're sending the wrong message out, because we don't know. Because if we just heard from Fearless and from Black Man Travels how their wives are just combining, you know, talking to each other and telling them how they can grow and, you know, survive, you know, as wives in America. You know, they're giving each other advice and stuff like that. They're not doing this, you know, stuff that you're trying to, you know, go out and stuff like, you know, you're trying to preach and stuff. So you have to be careful about that messaging and stuff, because that messaging is what's screwing up not just you, but I hear from a lot of people, you know, don't bring the women back here because, oh, their mind's going to get polluted. If you don't vet these women correctly, and, you know, you're going to have those problems. And the problem with No Excuse, God bless him, he's a cool guy. I've been on, you know, a couple of his shows. He's really cool. But the problem is he wasn't there most of the time with his wife. Even when they was doing courtship, he wasn't there most of the time. That's where the problem comes in. You have to be there. And that's the problem with long distance relationships. Long distance relationships require you to show some type, you know, you have to be there a lot. You know, I know I'm quite sure he is a very good guy and he has a very good heart. But when you're talking about having a long distance marriage, that should have been a decision where you got married. One of y'all should have moved. One of y'all should have went to one of those countries. Because when you get to that stage, that's it. Somebody's giving up something.
Yep.
In Passport Blueprint, I say if he did that same thing in Africa, where he met a girl, dated her, and married her and wasn't there, I think the result would be the exact same.
If I can respond to Passport Blueprint,
real quick, make it short because we got to get other people on the panel active too. So go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. So Passport Blueprint, I just want to use my ex-fiance as an example. She was that small town girl, came from a good family, Christian background, very conservative, very religious family background. Now, the thing is that I did notice certain things. I ignored red flags, you know. So but the thing is that I can't say for sure. I'm not saying my ex was a horrible person. At the time when she left me, I felt like she was a horrible person. But I think since I've, you know, came to have some understanding that, hey, I was just as culpable in that. But the thing is that there was certain key words, things that she would say, things that she would do, and reality struck me. And again, maybe it might be because I do, you know, or at least I did listen to Fresh and Fit. But when they say that female nature is female nature, no matter where you at in the world, that's true.
What's female nature? What's female nature, brother? What's female nature?
Are you talking about hypergamy?
Correct.
I want to know what. All right, let me tell you this. When my wife came here, I told her when I met her, I said, "Look, I'm going to school. I'm going to finish up this career. You know, because she wanted to get married. I said, you can come here. Ain't gonna be no money." You know, when my wife came here, she worked not one job. She worked 2 jobs. And you know what I did? I went to school full time. We had an agreement. I said, you just got to roll with me for about 2.5, 3 years. I got you. So hypergamy, she made more than me. I said, I got enough. I paid my mortgage up for 3 years. I wasn't making no money. She brought the money in. And you know where all that paycheck went? Straight to me. Because she said, you still run the household. I don't care what I make. So it wasn't hypergamy. And then I 10x'd her. So where was the hypergamy at? She had the opportunity to come to America. She worked 2 jobs that she didn't have to. Where was the hypergamy? It's how you vet them, bro. It's the person that they see what you're going to do. And as a man, if they look at you and say, I already see your potential. I see that if your manhood is dependent on the size of your wallet, you're not a man.
Yeah.
That's straight off right there.
It has not. I'm not saying it's just has to do with wallet. Hypergamy doesn't necessarily mean wallet. Hypergamy is just simply put, the definition of hypergamy is the act of dating up. Doesn't necessarily.
So Darnell, let me ask you this. You know, and I'll play the devil's advocate, right?
Okay.
So if you had a daughter, wouldn't you want your daughter to date the best out of the best man, like the guy who's the CEO, executive, and all that, right? That's basically hypergamy, right? You want the best for your daughter at the end of the day, and what is wrong with hypergamy?
Oh, nothing at all. Okay, I'm not saying hypergamy is bad.
Okay.
Hold on. I got something for this, and then I want to hear from Globe Spinner and his point of view, because Globe Spinner is currently in a situationship with a very, I would say, high-end female and a nice family out of Colombia. But I'm gonna play this real quick.
Don't you listen to these funky ass niggas tell you shit.
And I'm saying that is because you say you listen to Fresh and Fit. Neither one of those men ever been in a serious relationship enough to where they committed and actually got married. Why the fuck are you listening to 2 single dudes that all they're talking about is box and how to get laid versus actually having a serious, legitimate marriage and a relationship?
Well, I said I did listen to Fresh and Fit.
It's still going on. The whole thing is it's still going on.
Even if
and these guys are still talking the same thing, and they haven't even progressed in their lives.
Even if you did and you feel ashamed about it, why bring it up in a panel, and why bring it up in a serious conversation where we're talking about serious things?
But it's okay that he brought it up. I just wanted to make that point that in the past you were listening to somebody that shouldn't be giving out that type of advice because they've never been in a serious relationship, never been married, and can't walk you down that process in order to get married, because these 2 knuckleheads were never looking to get married. They're looking to get boxed and popularity. But I want to hear from Globe Spinner, and you can talk about what we were talking about with the marriage thing, or you can talk about with the choice between the woman saying she wants her husband, or bring up the situation that you're in right now and how the culture that you're dealing with and how the family that you're dealing with your current girlfriend and your situation. It's up to you, whatever you want to talk about.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you guys for inviting me to the panel tonight. And I wanted to commend Rob with No Excuse or Passport Bros broadcast, definitely for the transparency about his personal situation. Right. He didn't have to do that. So I appreciate him, just kind of explaining it from his perspective. And so that takes a lot of guts, and I appreciate that. I wanted to push back on a few things that he said because, Latin American women, regardless if you're dating Latin American women, African women, Asian women, Eastern European women, to a certain extent, they're going to all be the same. They may be different language, different culture, but they're going to have very similar expectations. And so I think that he vetted her well to a certain point. I agree with Fearless that he did miss some red flags, but I think he vetted her from a dating perspective. But you have to take it a next level up. And whether that's bringing her to the US or you moving to her country, because you don't really know what it's like living with that woman until you're actually in the same state and you're living with her, right? And so I think he might have failed from that point, which was probably moved for a year or two to Colombia. If he couldn't have done that, then perhaps he should have brought her to the States. And from my understanding, with me talking to her personally, that wasn't really an option. And so I think with African women, I've dated African women. I dated a college-educated Kenyan woman. You know what I'm saying? Came from a very well-off family back in Kenya. And one thing I can say about, just like I respect African-American women, I respect African women too. But African women are very similar, like Asian women. They play the long game too as well. I'm not going to generalize and say all of them, but they have the ability or the audacity to be submissive in the beginning, and then they'll switch it up as well too. You know what I'm saying? So I think that while a lot of passport bros are glamorizing going to Kenya, South Africa, Uganda, I have women in East Africa that I'm friends with, in Uganda, in South Africa, and they've given me a lot of game about African women. So just because you think that they're submissive doesn't mean that they're more submissive than American Black women. You know what I'm saying? What I like to say is they playing a different game than American Black women. While American Black women may be playing chess and checkers with you, they're playing a totally different game. So you got to be careful when you're comparing women. You know what I'm saying? So I think that when he made a statement that, well, Latin American women are not for me, I think just the choices he's chose might not have been for him. You can find Latin American women, whether it's Brazil, whether it's Colombia, Argentina, Paraguay, you can find submissive.
Expand on the situation. You're dating a educator's daughter. She's educated.
Yeah.
And they're good people in Colombia. So.
Yeah. So her father's a professor and she's college educated. I don't know how well her degree translates here to America because she studied public administration, more into politics. But she's in my opinion, she's a very submissive woman, but I'm not very naive to think that maybe if she comes here, maybe she could change a little bit. So my goal is to either work abroad, rather working at an international school and bringing her along, maybe on a fiance or a spousal visa, or perhaps me living in Colombia for a year or two. I think that there's still, even though we've dated for 2 years, I still need to vet her living together. You know what I'm saying? Because, no, go ahead.
Oh, I apologize for cutting you off. I just wanted to ask you really quickly. So would you agree that no matter where you're at in the world, female nature is female nature? Would you agree with that statement? Yes or no?
I agree with it to a certain extent. I do think female nature is female nature, but I think you got to study the woman and her culture, period. Because, every culture have different expectations as to what they expect of their men. And so I think that regardless if you're dating a Filipino woman or you're dating a Colombian woman, they're going to have different expectations. Some women are willing to go 50-50 with you. And not all foreign women will do it, but some will. I've dated Brazilian women that have their own homes, that are professionals, that don't mind going 50-50 with you. And so, we paint a narrative because we date one or two women in that culture that all women are like that, the same, but that's not true. Some brothers have told me don't date Afro-Brazilian women, but I've had great success with Afro-Brazilian women. In fact, they've been like, when are you coming to move down here? But personally now, I'm dating a Colombian woman. We've been together for 2 years. And so she's 100% for the idea of me moving down there, and she's okay if I decide to do the fiance visa and bring her here. I just think that now with the current
Does she have a desire to come to America? We talked about that.
She's always said that wherever you at in the world, that's where I want to be. So she's never put the pressure that we have to live in America.
Okay. Yeah. Let me read this $5 super chat real quick. I don't want to belabor. Plus, brother was on the panel. Passport Bro Podcast. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. He says, love and passports took 7 years to move to DR for his wife. He talks about her patience all the time. So yeah, women involved in a relationship have to be patient as well. And here's the word that I didn't use: expectations. We all have to have a ability to communicate expectations and the way the relationship is going and what we expect from each other, and then future expectations on as the relationship progresses, because we're all going to change. Expectations are going to change. Situations are going to cause expectations to change. So there's always got to be a constant communication and update on expectations on what's going on currently and that climate of whatever's going on in a relationship. And it's a constantly evolving thing. So when you, like in the LDR, if you're in a long distance relationship, those expectations could change on a fly and you don't communicate well. And then somebody's thinking you're going to be picking up the slack, and there's always two sides to a story. And one person's thinking you're supposed to be doing, the other person's pointing the finger and thinking, oh, that was on me, my fault. But who's going to release the ego enough to actually take the blame? And that's where sometimes even a long distance relationship, it can get tied down or bogged down on perception and expectation. I want to get Mercy Justice in on the conversation because he's been patiently waiting, and I know sometimes he drops off. So Mercy, is your mic working? Unmute yourself. And what do you have to add to the conversation? And then Richard, you'll be next. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, man, that women will have arguments no matter where they at, man. But your passport will give you a better opportunity to meet the women of your dreams, man. That's just my opinion. I don't think you're gonna have a hard. I think you have a harder time meeting her in the States. So I think it's easier. That's not to say you're gonna automatically meet your lady of your dreams because you got a passport, but I think you got a better opportunity. And I think women are just different, man, from where they at. Women here have their own perspectives, have their own ideals, have their own ideology, and that's just what it is. They don't mind sharing it with you. They don't mind letting us know. But the problem is, it's not working. So if it's not working, you got to try something different. So
Right.
all I'm saying is, I'm not saying you're not gonna have any problems because you get a Colombian woman, or because you get a Brazilian woman, or because you get an African woman. You can have problems out of any woman, but I believe your problems will be less. I'm sorry. I've been to Brazil 7 times, and I can tell you right now, I have 0 problems.
And like I said, everybody's experience is going to be totally different depending on who you are as an individual when you get there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's 100% facts. So that's the thing. That's the thing. Everybody's circumstances is going to be different. No excuse. He said he's not going to do Latino women anymore, and that's his right. But the next man might have success with the Latino women.
That's true.
Fearless Travelers having a great success with Latino women. So the thing is, he can't be speaking for all men. We all gonna have different circumstances. I loved Peru. I think Peru was a very nice place. I think that's a place where it's not good for, like, if you into that P4P and all that, that's not a good spot. If you're into if you're into like a solid relationship, the girls over there, like they're really into that, man. There is a very serious thing out there. Philippines is another place, which I will congratulate Rolling Travels for going there next month. So salute and Godspeed, man.
Believe me, Globe Spinner been over there. He almost got tied in with one.
Hey, and Drew, sorry, the Pookies already know the Peru, man. The word got out, Drew. You know, the word got out.
Man.
It's about reading the room, and a lot of guys are just not reading the room because the mind is in, well, I hate to say it, some of the guys' mind is in the gutter. Got to read the room and learn how to vet people properly and stuff like that, and spend that quality time with them.
And here's the thing, not to take anything from Robin, no excuse. The woman was beautiful. She had everything. She was a trophy wife in all perceptions of everything else. It's the expectation that might have been lessened because of the distance and time. Like I said, this is a constantly evolving thing. People are going to be changing. You're going to be growing in knowledge. You're going to grow in experience. Every time you get on a plane and you go somewhere, what happens to you? You change. You gain more knowledge. You gain more information. You grow as an individual. Do you think the other significant person in your life is not doing the same thing? Now, are you guys growing together, or are you growing separately because of distance and other things that are non-communicated? That's the problem when you get into relationships, especially ones that are supposed to be so tightly woven. People forget about bonding. Part of being in a relationship is pair bonding. That's what brings you close together in a relationship, is pair bonding with the person that you're with. Having experiences with each other is what brings you closer. Good experiences and bad ones. That's what makes it even stronger when you have those experiences together. The more you experience apart, it's like you don't need that other person anymore. So then why have them?
I just think it's levels of dopamine.
I think it's way more than that. That's way too simplified.
Can I pick it back off what you said, Roman?
Go ahead.
So, you know, we all know Rob. Rob is a stand-up guy, and I assume that not only, you know, I've seen it, you know, pictures of his wife, beautiful Latina. I know he picked a good woman, and so, you know, this is not a conversation on if he picked the right person or the wrong person. Maybe he may think he had picked the wrong person. I just think that their goals didn't align. Like maybe that was like miscommunicated, or maybe, you know, whatever was communicated prior to the marriage changed afterwards. But you have to realize is there was a couple of things that he mentioned was that their family, her family had certain expectations of him as well. And I think when he moved their daughter away and she got robbed, I think that changed the ball game. And you know what I'm saying? Because now you have this foreigner, and let's be honest, they know that we have a little bit more wealth than them. They expect you to fully take care of their daughter. And he moved her away to another city. He might have been paying all the bills, but she's isolated from her family. So if she's not with her family and she's not with him full time, they probably like, where the hell is our daughter? And she got robbed. So I think personally, he took an L when that happened. You know what I'm saying? It might, obviously it wasn't intentional, but I think that however he decided to remedy it didn't align with her and her family. And I think that's where probably a big rift happened in their relationship.
And I bet if he had moved there, their relationship would have been entirely different.
Right.
If he married her and said, "I'm living here with you," I don't think they would have even been divorced.
It's possible. It's certainly not, you know, impossible, but like from
Where did America go? He left. Is he coming back? America Talk Live. You can come back up, man. We're getting ready to bring you on.
From what I understand, though, is like, okay, he you know, he didn't do a good job of vetting, and you know, he missed a lot of things again. And these are things that I have done.
He didn't say that. I don't want you to put out the wrong information. He didn't say that. He just said there were certain things that they had talked about that changed after they got married. Specifically, you know, her not coming to America, and he could have shifted that and brought her back, but He tried. It failed twice. He actually did apply for the visa. So he actually said that. I did change my position, which means he was working with her to accommodate her and change the expectation. And he was going to bring her in, and it got denied twice.
Okay.
You know, so there are certain things that you guys miss and nuances. I don't want you guys to assume the wrong thing. You know, he did change his mindset and was going to bring her back and just couldn't get it approved.
Yeah. I think he could have strengthened that application, whether he was going to bring her on a spousal visa or a tourist visa. He could have strengthened that by living there for a complete year, because there are certain things that these immigration officers look for on the length of the relationship. You know, how long you guys live together. So
the global spinner, I don't think it was he was bringing her back on a K-1 visa. I think he was trying to get a tourist visa. I think she would have been okay if he would have filed for a K-1 visa. I don't think he did that. I think it was a tourist visa.
And what's a K-1 visa, real quick?
Fiance visa.
Fiance visa, got it.
Yeah, I got a video for that here in a little bit. I'm going to play.
Do you think, Fearless, that they could have questioned it? Because at this point, they were already married. So if he was bringing his wife on a tourist visa as opposed to a spousal visa, do you think they could have questioned that? I don't know.
This is just me hearing into it. I'm thinking he tried to do a tourist visa prior to being married in their first 3 years.
So let's get on the same page. So I got this little short video I'm going to play, and that'll bring us up to speed on the opportunities of how you can get a significant other in country.
Thinking about marriage with a foreign national, these are 3 different options that you may have if you're considering marriage with a foreign national. I'm attorney Angelica Jimenez, and I'm going to go over the 3 options with you. Your first option is a fiancé visa. So what is a fiancé visa? It's basically a non-immigrant visa that allows your foreign fiancé to come to the United States for 90 days, and you must both be married within that 90-day period. Now, before the pandemic, this was one of the fastest ways to get your fiancé to the United States. Now we are facing long wait times. However, they are starting to pick up cases now. Previously, we did see maybe 5 to 7 months wait for these types of visas. Now we are seeing that it can take upwards of 10, 11 months in order to get your fiancé here. But this is a wonderful option. It allows your fiancé to get married with you here in the United States. And it also doesn't allow your fiancé to run off and marry somebody else. Once you are married here in the United States, then you can apply for your green card. And in the meantime, you are eligible to receive a work permit and a travel permit while awaiting your green card in the US. Option number 2 is to marry your foreign fiancé in their country. Now, this is a great alternative because this will speed things up. Instead of doing a fiancé visa, you will be petitioning for your spouse directly. So this means that you travel to their country, you get married, and as long as the marriage is legal in that country, the US will recognize that marriage as being a legal marriage for immigration purposes. Now, in the United States, there are states that offer online marriage, as long as you later go and consummate the marriage. An example is the state of Utah that does this. Now, why is that significant? In some cases, there's laws in other countries that might be restrictive upon marriage. For example, same-sex marriages are not recognized in some countries. So this would be a wonderful option to marry online in the United States, consummate the marriage, and then be able to petition for your foreign spouse. Your third and final option would be to marry here in the United States. Let's say your fiancé or your girlfriend or boyfriend has a tourist visa. They can come into the United States. As long as they don't intend to marry during that trip, you can surprise them, you can propose, and then at that point you can get married and then file for your spouse. If you need help deciding or you need help.
All right.
Let me address what he just said.
Go ahead.
He said they denied the second time because she didn't tell them we were engaged the first Visa Act. That is correct, my brother. Here's the reason why. If she was trying to get a tourist visa, one of the stipulations of a tourist visa is you have to show that you have so much family connection in your home country that you will return. If you're saying that you're already engaged, in the person's mind is giving out the visa, she's not coming back. She's only going to the United States to get married or to not come back. That's not the purpose of the tourist visa. So if they see like some nefarious ways that she's not going there to be a tourist, and that one to be a tourist, two, that she has some type of job or something that would make her come back, job, kid, bank account. That's why they ask for all of that information, so that she will return back to her home country. They will deny the visa. But my other question to you, Passport, you said she worked as a basically
au pair.
Au pair.
Yeah.
Why didn't you try to find, if she couldn't get then as a tourist visa, why not try to get her a job as an au pair somewhere close to where you're at? Then she could have been up here again, and you could have dated her while she was here. But I know that's in the past, but go ahead.
Right. I just wanted to say, she said the third way was to get married in the United States, obviously under a tourist visa, and then surprise her, like you were just saying, Fearless. You can't come with the intention of getting married under the tourist visa. That's the wrong way to do it. And if they sniff that out, especially if you're the point of contact for the person that they're saying they're going to be visiting on a regular basis, because you do have to declare where you're going. You just don't get to come in and say, I want to be a tourist. You kind of have to have an itinerary, so those are factors where the immigration will say, we're gonna shut that down. And he said au pairs can't be married.
Yeah, but I was saying prior to them getting married.
If she got here under au pair province, she couldn't get married while she was an au pair, and she would have to go back before she could get married, because they wouldn't allow that to happen under those premises, is what he's basically saying. If she takes the job and comes to the United States under that pretense, they won't allow her to get married at all. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right. We got a new member. We got a new member on the panel. Passport, player with a passport, my brother. Been gone for a while, bro. I don't know where you been. You've been working hard in the fields. What's going on with you?
Man, I've been getting to it, man. You know what I'm saying? Straight
It's all
getting to
good.
it, man. That's it. Yeah. No, man, I was gonna I didn't know I was gonna touch on the the vetting of a female.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I noticed, and this ain't towards the cat, what's his name?
Passport Bros podcast.
Okay.
or no-
Yeah. This ain't directly towards him. Just in general, what I noticed in the travel space is that there's a lot of men, they haven't gone through the phase of self-mastery. You understand? They haven't really gone through the process of conquering themselves, because when you've gone through the process of conquering yourself, you're going to obtain qualities and characteristics, first of all, that women like, but there's also going to come a point in the path where you got to build a relationship with God. You understand? And you got to build an intimate relationship with God. And in building that relationship, he blesses you with an ingredient called spiritual discernment. You understand? And that allows you to differentiate between what's good and what's good and beneficial to you versus what's filled with malice and deception. And so a lot of guys, when they're dealing with these women, they're everything is being judged on the surface, right? Everything is being judged kind of like from the flesh perspective, right? So many people spending so much time trying to satisfy the flesh that they wonder why they have a hard time tapping into a woman spiritually, emotionally, and intellectually, right? Because they haven't gone through that process of self-mastery, right?
Fact.
And they haven't retained those qualities and characteristics that women want in a man, right? Because you come to a point in that process where you leveling up, then you hit a plateau. You can't level up no more. And that's because the situations and the circumstances that you coming across, all your human understanding and knowledge is run its course. You understand? So you got to start giving things to whoever your higher power is. You got to start giving things to him so you can get that, you can punch through to those next levels. You understand? And it's at that point that he begins to show himself through you for others. Right? So even when you do meet a woman, you are no longer seeing her, you understand? Because now you judging her based on you're judging her based on the spirit. You understand what I'm saying? So you looking at the energy, you looking at what frequency she's on, you looking at the vibes, homie. I'm talking about truly rocking and flow state, right? So cats in the travel space, I noticed that there's when you hear a cat, oh, you know, these women, man, they can pass along evil spirits to you. I realized quickly this person got holes in their game, right? Because when you got a relationship with God, homie, the only spirit that I'm vulnerable to is the Holy Spirit. You understand? So just in general, I think more men need to take their relationship building with God more serious, and that's going to help them with the vetting process with these women, because you're going to be looking through a different lens. It ain't going to no longer be a lens of the flesh.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, man, you know, I mean, that's great and it sounds good, man, but we got to be realistic too. And what I mean by realistic is, you know, there's also scriptures in the Bible. I don't know if you believe in the Bible, but there are scriptures in the Bible that say Solomon, he said, "There's many things I found." He said, "But an upright woman I've never found." And this man had all kind of wives. And he never, I'm not saying it's impossible, but obviously it's hard to find. So we can't act like it's something everywhere. You know, a upright woman, a righteous type lady, a virtuous type woman is not an easy task, man. But you're right.
I mean, yeah, the Bible says it. He that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. That don't mean it's apparently like going to be right in front of you. You got to go find one.
Right. And I'm also not saying that this woman is going to be perfect. Right. What I am saying very clearly is that a lot of the standards these guys are using ain't working. Plain and simple. So I don't know about you, but I'm the type of person, if I'm doing something and I'm getting the same results, homie, I'm gonna change and I'm gonna figure something else out.
No, it's facts.
And you know, they talk about this story about the woman who lost the pearl in the Bible, and she found it when she wasn't looking for it. So, you know, it's just one of those things, man. You know, I mean, I get what you say. You do need to stay close to God. I'm not disputing that at all. All I'm saying is that it's
I
just
thought I
not
was the
an
only
easy.
holy roller up in here. I just coming up here talking Bible shit now.
It's not an easy task, bro. That's all I'm saying. It's not an easy task. I mean, I just say that. I just, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like life ain't an easy task, but that's why God made us men and he gave us a dick and a pair of balls. Because he understood that the path that we was going to be walking wasn't going to be an easy path. You understand? You see, a man embraces the difficulties. We take the ladder. We don't take the detour. Because we know on the other side of the detour, on the other side of that hardship is going to be the championship. You know what I'm saying? And like anything else, the more and more you do things that are hard, pause, the easier it gets. Same thing with using discernment, right? The more and more you use it, the better off. The more and more you use it, the better you get at it. Now, whether you want to acknowledge it as the regular discernment or spiritual discernment is on the individual, but it's still in essence the same.
Well, let me give you one story to bust your bubble a little bit. Let's
Now,
talk
my
about
bubble won't be
Adam and Eve.
busted.
Hold on. Let's talk about Adam and Eve, man. God gave him his wife, and you know, she was talking to a snake, and you know, so I mean, we can't act like this stuff don't go on, man. I mean, come on, man. I mean, he had the wife from God now.
It was just the way you put it. It was the way you put it. That's all.
Nah, man, I think nah, homie, I understand exactly where you're coming from, man. I mean, there's a lot of stories in the Bible where a woman deceived a man. You understand? I'm definitely not saying that women are perfect. Clearly, you ain't heard you don't know the lens that I'm speaking through. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, as a man who is a God-fearing man, you put God before all things. That's all I'm saying, plain and simple, right? So I don't think that it's a bad thing to meet a woman and ask that you get some wisdom from a place you may not normally get it from, right? To help you vet this woman, because that seems to be a big thing in the travel space. A lot of cats are unable to vet these women, and they got all kind of criteria that they done came up with, all kind of checklists. But guess what, homeboy? They still getting scoped. They still getting drugged. They still getting kidnapped.
But we
They
all
still
know
getting
passport
extorted.
player with a passport. We all know that those guys are not looking for women and wives because they're in
Right.
the wrong place.
Well,
They're
I'm
in
not
the
looking for a
wrong
wife
place
either.
to be calling them wives if they're getting
Yeah.
scoped. You absolutely. This is where we were talking with Globe Spinner about, classism and the type of woman that you're looking for, and being able to, like you said, discern the difference. If you down in the lower echelons of the city, that's not a place for a wife.
Right.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily
let
say
me
that you
think
got to
about
use discernment to find a wife. I mean,
No,
just in general, when you're dealing with women,
Uh-huh.
you got to
hold on. Hold on a second.
go
Hold
ahead.
on a second, player with a passport. I like what you said, and I want to piggyback off that, but I also got to support Ronan for what he said. Let's be honest. Let's have an honest conversation here. I want to say 70 to 80% of blue gentlemen or passport bros, they are not looking for wives. It's what I'm saying. So a lot of times these guys that are getting scoped, they're not out there hunting for wives. So I think to answer your question about why are they not properly, being able to vet these women, I think one of the main issues is they are not really studying these women or their culture. Like, one of the first questions you should ask yourself is, if you're dating a Dominican woman or a Brazilian woman or whatever, how do her own men treat her? How do her father treat her mother? How do her brothers treat women they date? So before you can appeal to this woman and her culture and the type of men that she likes, because she might just like you because you're different, because you're a foreigner. But I think one of the main problem is, and I say this is the main issue that I have with passport bros, is we go to Medellin, we go to these places, and we bring our American mindset, and we try to make these women change to our culture. And that's where you have the problem is, because if you're gonna, and you might as well just marry an American woman. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna Americanize her, you know what I'm saying? So if you can't study her language and her culture and be able to communicate with her, then how can you say you really, really love that woman?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, homeboy. I agree with what you're saying. But I'm not necessarily talking about meeting a wife. You know what I'm saying? This is just that's just one tool in it. That's just one tool in a tool shed, not even a toolbox. You know what I mean? But I agree with what you're saying. But it doesn't necessarily need to be applied to to finding a wife. You know what I mean? It's like if you ever walked into a place, man, maybe you walk into a gathering of some friends, or maybe a workplace, and maybe in the lunchroom, you're at the lunch table at work, and you can sense a negative energy, and eventually you hone in on where that negative energy came from, as far as that employee or that family gathering or whatever. So it's the same thing, but I understand where you're coming from. And I agree 100%. Yeah, the things that are happening to those guys are because they're dealing with the bottom of the barrel. But you don't necessarily need to
but that's
use discernment when trying to seek a woman.
The disconnect is. Because we could be having two conversations, right? Well, I thought we were talking about finding a wife or a partner, but if you're talking about just casually dating, or if you're talking about just having fun with women, the women have a different perspective. Because with no excuse going to Africa, or you going to Latin America or Asia, those women don't casually date. They're looking for husbands. So if you go down there to Medellin with the intention, I'm gonna date 2, 3, 4 women, that's fine. It is what it is. But they're coming at you from a different perspective unless she's from the bottom of the barrel, unless you had that conversation that, hey, this is just for fun times. You know what I'm saying? So I think that that's where the disconnect between foreigners and Americans, because a lot of times, like I said, 70 to 80% of us are going down there just to have fun, but they're not vetting you for just having fun. They're looking for a husband. You know what I'm saying? They're looking for you to elevate their situation. So that could be where the problem is.
I mean, but see, I know we're gonna skip over my example, but I gave an example where Adam had the right woman. He had the right woman. I'm talking about the right one now. I ain't talking about the wrong one. He got the right one. He living in paradise. And look what happened. And then the two sons, one killed the other. I mean, bro, you can have the right one. It don't mean you're not gonna have trouble. That's the only point I was trying to make. And I think a lot of brothers don't understand that piece. You might have to, you still might go through a little something with the right one.
Yeah, you good, homie. I mean, at the end of the day, I can say that Adam simped out too.
Adam what?
Oh, no doubt. Oh, no doubt. Oh, no doubt. Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
To piggyback off what Glow Spinner had said, then you have to look at one factor. If you're looking at a lot of guys being African American, they're going down there for fun and stuff like that. What about the other African Americans who's going to be going down there taking it to be serious? They may not look at that as, okay, these guys are just another bunch of group of guys that came down there for fun, trying to, have a serious relationship. They're going to take them as, oh, these are the fun guys just as well. They're not serious.
You
That's
can have several
problem.
serious relationships. Hey, but listen, I don't want to cut y'all off. I got to bang out, man. I appreciate you having me on the panel. I just wanted to chime in real quick, man.
No problem,
I appreciate you
brother.
guys, man. Straight up.
I'm glad to see you going well. You know what I'm saying?
No problem, baby. Absolutely, man. Peace.
Peace out, bro.
Go ahead. We can continue the conversation. We got a new panelist, Yusuke. Am I pronouncing that right?
It's Yasuki.
Yasuki, thank you. What do you have to add? I know you were losing your mind a little bit in the chat. Hopefully you got to take a couple breaths.
My bad, bro.
Okay. That's okay. I understand sometimes we lose it. But what do you have on the conversation right now that we're on? Or anything else that's happened in the conversation?
I'm not gonna say everything I said in the chat, but
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be respectful. But anyway, when you're talking about traveling overseas and stuff like that, I actually lived overseas, so it's a whole different ballgame when you actually travel and actually live. And when you live, you experience and you see all the red flags in that country. You see all the red flags in those people. And we ain't just talking about just going traveling for women. We actually talk about like everyday duties,
right,
of what they're doing in that country. So a lot of people just go for a week. They just go for a weekend or maybe a month or two. But they ain't staying there for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And they really seeing how people move. So when people be like, I'm gonna go get a religion chick, or I'm gonna go get a normal chick that's like this or like that, they really don't know what they're talking about, because all this is just a facade. It's just an illusion. You still gotta go vet a person. Period. It doesn't like have a different perspective when just because somebody's in some type of culture or some type of belief system. Just because you see a lady or see someone appear a certain way doesn't mean that she really is a part of that culture. Because for an example, as we was all kids, we was brought up a certain way. I'm pretty sure most of people was brought up in religion or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to put it in perspective. Most of us wasn't even feeling that stuff. And I'm gonna be honest, I was one of them. So we can't really say that a lot of those people that's in that country or in that culture are really, really feeling that culture or really want to be a part of that culture. Because you notice when you be around some of them, they listening to like they watching European soccer, they listening to westernized music, and of course they music too. They listening to westernized news. Okay. So they not even watching their news most of the time. They watching our stuff. Okay, they probably know more news than anybody here. I guarantee you go over there and ask them about what's going on with the presidency. They could probably tell you a whole paragraph what's going on. But then you tell them about the history of their country, they clueless.
I agree with you. That's one of the things I was saying, the no excuse about Africans looking up to Americans. I said that's because that's their goal to be here.
Facts, right. So that's what I'm saying. Like when brothers be saying stuff like that, like how he was saying, like, you know, blackness and all that, like, bro, you don't really know blackness. I've been Rasta for 16 years. You don't really know blackness, bro. Them Africans over there they not really appealing to that type of blackness that you think that they supposed to. They're not really related to us like that. We don't have a relationship with them. We're more closer to the people who's on our side, which is the Latin America, which we all know that's not even Latin America. That's a colonized Latin America. So we know they more than that. We know they identified by tribes, but they don't know that because they've been colonized. So how can you say something else is more blackness than the other when everybody else on this globe been colonized and stripped from their blackness, so-called blackness? Because I don't even identify as black, but blackness is a made-up word. Just like classism is an illusion too, because capitalism makes you think there's a classism, but
Correct.
capitalism is just
Everybody's
rich
the
versus
same.
poor. Yeah, everybody's the same. So
It's society allowing themselves to be put in boxes.
facts. So when guys be trying to rate girls like, oh, she a 10, she a 9, she a 8, she a 7, it's like now we starting to get into like a westernized mindset, because why are we labeling girls, or she a 10, she a 9, she a 8? Because you can find quality in a girl that's rated as a 3. She might not look good as a 10, but she might be a quality 3 that is a 10 in another guy's eyes. So when the guy say somebody's a 10, who is really a 10?
I wouldn't even want to deal with a 10, brother. Tell you the truth.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Too
like
much of a hassle.
it's just like a person say, "Oh, I'm successful." What is success in a capitalistic society? All you is
That's
a
all
consumer.
perception.
Yeah, it's all perception. So it's like we really get into these terms, and it's throwing us off about how we really should be moving, not domestically, but internationally too.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and that's how we get confused into these binds. Like, okay, well, this girl ain't in my class, or she not this, she not that, she not a 10, she not a 7, or she don't carry her way into this type of blackness or this type of culture. Who cares, bro? All you need to know is she good woman? Is she gonna fit your values as a man and help you survive this? Can y'all get money together, like stuff that's really tangible into society? Like, how's she gonna help you accomplish sovereignty, bro? You a king, you a god, bro. That's your divine entity in this universe. How's she gonna help you get up to that god status? Is what you should be focusing on.
See, now you overstep.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that part of it. Everybody ain't born to be a king, and everybody ain't born to be a queen.
Well, you right, yeah, because I mean, you've been in the military.
we killing each other with that shit.
Right.
You know, our communities all, hey queen, hey king. No.
Yeah. Let me take that back.
You might have been a farmer. You might have been somebody else in the hierarchy, but you weren't the king. Everybody thinks they deserve to be that leader, and no, you don't.
Right, you just probably meant to just be a teacher. You probably ain't ready.
Exactly.
Right, I feel that. So
I mean, you can be the king of your own castle, bro. Just your own castle.
That you can.
Yeah, that you can. Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Well, I'm just saying, like most, you know, as a when I say king of God, I basically mean in knowing yourself, basically.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. So, I think we just get distracted by stuff like that, and then that make us lose out on certain opportunities.
You're right.
In life.
That's fact, because
You definitely know about Japanese culture, so
Yeah, and he's right
especially
because
carrying that name.
and that's
One of my first friends was a Japanese lady.
Then you know about Ikigai.
Yeah. She was one of my first friends when I was coming up in grade school. My mom babysitted her when she came over from Japan. And she was one of the girls that had like skin disease and stuff like that. So nobody really accepted her. So her parents gave her up for adoption. And my mama adopted her. She was like 8 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Watched her grow up. We graduated the same year too.
But go ahead. Anybody else that wants to jump in? I appreciate your insight, man. Really, it's the first time you come up and, bro, you dropping some jewels up in here. What's up? What? Why you been holding out?
I had to come up because I was going in the chat. I wanted to be a man and apologize because this show
I
channel,
appreciate
so
that.
I ain't want to disrespect your channel.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. I gotta agree with him because the thing about it is we're like, again, we're bringing these westernized mindsets to countries that it's not on that same vibe. You know, we're not adapting to that culture if we're bringing our mindset to open to these countries, and this is where we screw up, and this is where we're losing because a lot of these guys. And I'm just going to even bump that number up. I think 90% of the passport bros are not out there looking for wives. They're just looking for fun. It's only 10% of us. And that's what the problem is. And when we don't look for these wives, we're not going to build that empire that we're trying to build, because what we're supposed to be out there for is because we have this issue with the westernized dating scene right now, and now we're just going overseas just to, for fun, but we're not looking to build family. We're not looking to get that wife who has those skill sets to build an empire so we can live happily ever after. It's just fun, and next thing you know, we get burnt out because we're just dealing with pros all the damn time, and next thing you know, we got nothing. What have we done for all these years? Traveled and burned ourselves out, and we ain't got nothing to show for it.
Well, one thing is,
and don't get me wrong. My bad, Phil.
No, I think one aspect is we are traveling to different cultures because we're trying to escape the Western culture. And the first thing that a guy does is bring his Western culture to the same place he's trying to escape.
Exactly.
Which makes no sense. That makes no sense. And I think Passport Bro is on here. He says South Africa, Kenya, more westernized and speak good English. Can they be good housewives? Are they still submissive? English does not mean good housewife. I don't know where we get that someone is speaking a different language like Spanish, and that constitute to them being good. And that's that, and not to say anything wrong. That just sounds like one of those women who say that. Like, she doesn't even speak English. Well, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything.
You don't speak their language. What's your point?
Correct. So I don't think that
Most
English
of y'all
makes whether you're a good housewife or not a good housewife. I just think you can go anywhere, and if you're still not looking for that type of woman that you want that has those values, like there's just certain criteria that I go after. I want a woman who has a father, because she can see that type of relationship that her mother and father had, and they'll demonstrate that through their life. So those are other criteria that I look for.
Right. Yasuki, now didn't you say in the chat that you lived in Africa for quite a while, right?
Yeah, I've been to 2 countries.
What? Now, how long did you live in Africa?
For 5 years.
So tell us your dating experience in Africa. Is it all they're talking it up to be?
It's a long story, but
Just briefly.
since okay, so for instance, I really went there because I had some connections on both sides of the globe. So I had connections here and over there.
Mhm.
Because I was trying to do repatriate. Like I said, I've been rostered for 16 years.
Okay.
So, yeah, I dated women that was like into my type of frequency, meaning like we was on the same walk together, or I dated other ones that wasn't. But my point is that it ain't just that lifestyle, the dating lifestyle. It's the actual country itself, the cities, the rural areas. I'm just talking about the people in general. Because one thing that make a country good is the people that's there. You know, how the economy's running, how the people, move around, how they treat you.
Right.
That's one thing my grandfather always told me, is that one thing you always want to observe is how a person treats you, no matter where you go. Whether it's for a short period of time or whether it's for a long time. And you get different experiences from different countries. Like one country might treat you this way, another country might treat you this way. So this is my whole point about going back to, you always got to vet people, no matter if it's just about business, whether if it's about a job, whether if it's just about a relationship, marriage. You always got to go to a perspective of vetting, because especially if you're planning on living somewhere that's not even in your terrain, like that's not even like your terrain. We talk about big mosquitoes that could probably suck your blood and kill you. I'm telling you, dog. Like it's they not lying to you on the movies at how them bugs be on the movies now, because you will see them. Like
I seen a big ass Japanese beetle. Somehow it got to 29 pounds on a Marine Corps base. I saw that big old thing. It was bigger than I have a size 13 foot, and that beetle was as big as my goddamn foot.
Yeah,
I don't know how it got to America, but oh my God.
Yeah, and I know since you were better, I know you've seen a whole lot of stuff more than me, so you can relate. So I mean,
Yeah, them desert spiders ain't nothing to look at either.
Ain't nothing to look at, trust me.
Animal spiders.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even when I was in the Caribbean, they had flying roaches. Okay, we talking about big as a scorpion roach flying.
That shit freaks you out when they coming at you. Yeah, what the?
Oh yeah. You thinking it's a lightning bug and it's really like looking at you about to fuck you up. Like, excuse my language, but it's serious. Like it's just a whole different atmosphere, a whole different terrain. So when brothers be talking about they gonna move somewhere, I'm just like, man, you really gotta be prepared, because the nature is no joke on this globe, period.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't understand it because we live in cities in America, but they don't understand, like, it's a whole different world out there, more than just people.
Yeah, you definitely gonna have to give us some creature comforts if you plan on living in certain areas. Oh, readjust. In the military, we call it acclimation. Take about 30 days to acclimate into a country. Any shorter time period, you don't acclimate. That's where a lot of people within the first week or so, they get colds, because there's certain pollen in the air, certain type of microorganisms while you're eating the food. That's why you can't drink certain waters. All that comes into acclimating into the culture and getting your body used to dealing with those new introduced organisms into your breathing cycle and everything else. So Passport Blueprint knows all about it.
Oh yeah, I've been sick about 3 to 5 times over there.
Yeah, so when you go to certain countries and you come down with some kind of bug, that's exactly what it is. It's a bug. And it's your body trying to learn how to ward it off and fight it. And then once it learns, then you get used to it.
You ain't had nothing until you get to Kuwaiti crud.
He's with a Kuwaiti crud.
Y'all, fuck around and find out. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's just like, like, even like just we can just talk simple as just fruit juice. I remember I gave a security guard at my crib, I gave him some soursop juice because he was thirsty while he was on the clock. And I went to the market, got him some juice, and then I didn't even see him for like 2 weeks. He got sick. And guess what he had? He had a I forgot what worm he said he had in his drink, because I guess the fruit wasn't all the way ripe or something he was saying. So
right.
When he drank the juice, he was sick for like 2 or 3 weeks. He had to call off work. And then when I came downstairs, I was like, "Where you been at?" He was like, "I've been sick." I said, "Oh, I ain't trying to kill you now. Don't think I tried to kill you. I just gave you some juice. I didn't even know what was in there." So he was like, "Nah." He said, "It happens all the time here in this country." But he didn't
Yeah,
like
I
show
mean,
me what type of
soursop
worm.
itself is actually a good thing to take, you
Oh
know,
yeah,
to
I
clean out
know.
your system. But
Oh
if it's
yeah,
been sitting around or has been exposed outside, depending on the environment, they let some freaking fly land in it and lay fucking eggs all up in. That's why, man, some of these street foods, man, y'all need to stay the hell away from it.
yeah. Stay away
Yeah.
from it. Yup, facts. Yeah, because
But
I love soursop because for it's real good for men. Like it helps cleans your keeps your
Mhm.
sperm count up. It helps your testosterone to keep strong, and it
Yeah.
helps like even like cure like some of the sicknesses in your body. Also,
Yeah,
it
we were
goes
just
way
talking about this
beyond.
the other day about all these different holistic and health ways to
Yeah,
eat well.
yeah, it's very
But we're gonna. It's 3:44, 3 hours and 44 minutes into the live. We're gonna go ahead and shut it down. Um, we appreciate everybody coming up on the live on the panel and participating. I know some of the conversations that we have aren't the most popular, but these are the ones that you need to kind of roll back and replay and see if you can catch some of the gems and jewels that are being spoken by some of the guys that are on these panels with their level of experience of travel and experience in dating. You know, we're talking about, you know, how much do you spend on a date? That's a minor topic to really learning how to vet a woman for proper marriage, you know, and if you're not doing the passport bro thing like Blueprint was saying, you know, maybe it's a 90-10 split between you guys that are traveling just to have fun, and that's okay. But as a natural progression, we should be moving towards the marriage side of the house. After you've established your assets and your wealth, you should be moving to quality, not quantity. As the younger guys are coming up that are having problems dating in America, those are the ones who should be running around doing their thing and trying to dot everything that moves. But at a certain age, man, hang that shit up. You guys should not be in the clubs trying to dance around a whole bunch of chicks. But go ahead, Fearless.
No, I just want to say I appreciate No Excuses Come On. Great for sharing your story. We may critique you, but we're learning. You know, it's good out there. Everybody can be the Monday morning quarterback and see what happened, and they can critique your relationship. I'm sure if 5 years from now I get divorced or something, God forbid, they'll be like, "Well, you should have seen some sign." You know, I don't know what that would be, but so I'm glad that you can see that. I just think moving forward, guys, it doesn't matter where you go in the world. It's sometimes not the women, it's you, and you need to look inside and make you the best and see how you can critique yourself. Because if you're having the same, what is it? Crazy is doing the same thing over and over, getting
the definition of insanity. The definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting this different result.
Yeah, and we see that a lot from women who say it's these guys. But one thing I can say that he did say, he didn't put you know, he took some responsibility for his actions as well. So that's one step in a great direction. And hopefully when he makes his next step, that he'll be able to reflect and make a, you know, maybe make a better decision or develop himself a little bit better.
And like I said, don't be afraid to fail. I mean, that's how you grow. Everything in life is not perfection. You know, I mean, what do they say? It takes 10,000 hours invested in order to become professional or proficient at something. So you're going to fail over those 10,000 hours. It's how you recover, how you get back up, and you keep going at it. Just recover. And with that, go ahead, Suki.
I was just saying, like, well, you know, for all brothers, don't just assume anything just because they into something that you may think that's positive, but it may not be positive. You know, you still have to observe, you still have to use discernment, and you still have to vet everything in life so you can make the best decision possible.
Right.
That's it.
Because there still might be a snake crawling around in paradise, bro.
Facts.
Always.
I'm telling y'all brothers that, man. Y'all brothers don't want
Always.
to listen
There's a snake in the bush. Always. Always. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and shut it down. I don't think we have an outro song, do we?
No, we don't. But make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Watch our video yesterday. We had some good insights, like I talked about. We talked about some men's health issues that we was going through. Some things that we tried to help Darnell with, his erectile dysfunction and premature ejaculation. So we have a therapist that comes on.
Let me correct
to these funky ass niggas tell you shit.
Let me correct that statement. No, we were talking about Fearless's fetish because he kept bringing that prostate.
Congratulations, you played yourself. Congratulations.
No, he wanted to know more from who was on there. Who was on there talking about they got a prostate massage and they do it?
What?
That was you.
What? Bro, what are you talking about?
Was it Strictly Travels? Who was that? Well, whomever. We know that that's his. He can't wait to pop that off. But until next time, guys, we got Thursday night therapy in Lions Den, so make sure you tune in and watch us. We appreciate the support. You guys have a good evening, and I just say vet well, vet good. You know what is the thing? Measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
All right.
That is the thing.
We out.